What's up, everybody? So today I just decided to go live. I just got off of work. I normally have my little intro and stuff set up, but today I just wanted to just go live because I was like, you know what? It's a lot of crazy stuff going on. I wasn't gonna go live today because I have a lot planned, and I was like, we're gonna prepare for the upcoming, things that I have coming up. But I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and go live and discuss some of the things that are going on. Because it's kind of crazy, you know what I'm saying? You have Don Lemon, Trump is trying to go after him. You have Nikki Minaj, she's stepping up saying whatever she got to say. On top of that, you have, Republicans, well, at least one main Republican trying to impeach Donald Trump. And so I couldn't let another day go on without me at least addressing and just showing some of the things that have been happening in the news. It's like, what is going on with this? Please excuse me, guys, the power by StreamYard. Normally I have my little intro and everything, but you know what? Hey, I gotta wait till my little payment comes so I can just pay my StreamYard bill. So it's important that when you come to this thing, please support the channel because this is how I get to keep the show really cool with all my little videos and show like really cool stuff. If I have support of my people, please subscribe, like, please hit the super chats, all that stuff. Please like and subscribe. Please be a part of this. But so let's figure out what we're going to start with. First, I want to start off with, let's see, where do I want to begin? The first thing I think I want to address is this impeachment thing. So the impeachment talks are beginning to warm up about Trump. People are talking about impeaching him. Let's talk about it. All right, let's go.
Republicans seem to be warming up to the idea of impeaching Donald Trump if, and only if, apparently, certain conditions are met. And by Republicans, I mean one single Republican who's actually retiring at the end of this year by the name of Don Bacon. Now, Bacon has been an adversary of Donald Trump, pretty much since he came back into power. He was the only Republican who voted with the Democrats to try to limit Donald Trump's ability to invade a NATO ally. Literally every other Republican in the House was like, no, this seems like a normal thing for the president to be able to do. But Don Bacon said no. So last week, Don Bacon said that because of Donald Trump's threats to take Greenland using the military, if he were to do that, I would be in favor of removing him from office. Now, that's not a radical statement. That's not something that like, oh, hell yeah. It's like, yes, that's common sense. Every single lawmaker, regardless of political party, should be saying that. So I'm not going to give Bacon too much credit for saying it because, again, all of them should. I'll give him credit for being the only Republican at the moment who is saying it, however. But Bacon's statement is, quote, if he went through with the threats, I think it would be the end of his presidency. And he needs to know the off-ramp is realizing Republicans aren't going to tolerate this and he's going to have to back off. He hates being told no, but in this case, I think Republicans need to be firm. It would be a total mistake to invade an ally. It would be catastrophic to our allies and everything. It's just the worst idea ever, in my view. So based on his statement, it actually kind of sounds like Bacon might be speaking for many other Republicans too.
So what do you guys think? Do you think that Donald Trump, as it stands right now, has the possibility of being impeached? And do you think that he should be impeached? I just did a poll in the chat. Please go ahead and hit the poll. But I think it's interesting that they're talking about this. You have some people saying that he has dementia and that it's getting worse. I'm not sure if people have been looking into that information. And then you have like a lot of like things where like the decisions that he's making are very strange. You know what I'm saying? You like talking about like Greenland being an ally, but then he wants to try to take it over. So now that's causing a stir up. him kind of like trying to separate one side of the world from another, saying, okay, we want to have this side, we want to have the western area, the eastern area, and then they have the west. The west, we want to have west. They can have the east, China and Russia. So trying to separate us, Greenland, Canada, South America, North America from Europe, Africa, England, and trying to create his own little like area like that's over here on this side of town. And at one point they were saying that we were the global whatever it was. Like we were running the whole world, but pretty much now he's like pretty much stepping back from that and saying, well, no, we want to have this side, of everything.
They just know that Bacon can speak this way because one, Trump's already pissed at him. He's pissed at Trump. There's no love lost there. And two, he's not up for re-election. So he can go out there and say what the rest of them are wanting him to say without any fears. That is a possibility. I'm not saying that is 100% what's happening for certain, but it's there. And I do think that that is very likely. But if it's only Bacon, if he is the only Republican that thinks this or feels this way, or that would go along with an impeachment, then that means nothing. Because by the time the Democrats even had the numbers to impeach Donald Trump for whatever it is he attempts to do, Bacon will be out of office. Right? Because if Democrats retake the House in the midterms, they don't get sworn in until next November or next January, and then Bacon's gone. So
right, and didn't he call it like the Donald doctrine now, or the Donald doctrine, or the Trump doctrine? Sometime he didn't rename the Monroe Doctrine into the Trumpo Doctrine or whatever like that. I heard he renamed it, and that's weird, And if anyone is not aware of the Monroe Doctrine, let me try to bring that up, because that is the whole thing of like, I think that owning this whole area on this side of the thing, and then letting the one side be one side, and Western Hemisphere as a U.S. sphere of influence. So he wants the Western Hemisphere to have its sphere of influence, and then you have the Eastern that has theirs. And so now we become our own, like, kind of like whole area. And that is really what this whole Greenland deal is about. People think it's really about, oil, but it's really about this kind of like doctrine, the Monroe Doctrine, proclaimed by President James Monroe in 1823. Was a U.S. foreign policy warning European powers against further colonization or interference in the Americas, establishing the Western Hemisphere as a U.S. sphere of influence and marking a break from European politics. Its core principles were non-colonization, non-intervention in Europe, and the assertion that any European meddling in the Americas would be seen as hostile. It became a cornerstone of U.S. policy, justifying expansion and interventionism in Latin America as the U.S. grew in power. Separate spheres, the Americas and Europe were distinct political realms, non-colonization. The American colonists were closed to future European colonization. So that means all the Caribbean islands, all this other stuff, all this would be a part of the Americas. Let me see if there's a map that actually shows how that would, like, let's see if there's a map. Yeah, so it looks like this whole thing, from what I understand, this whole this would be all according to this doctrine. They would all North America, South America, Canada, and apparently Greenland would all be a part of like one big slab of like land, kind of owned by as an American territory. So that's what they seem to be kind of trying to push in this whole thing. Can Canadians volunteer for ICE? I don't think so. Monroe Doctrine sounds awesome. Have the world divided into two lobes like a brain. No one world government. I don't know. To me, it's not. It still sounds kind of weird. If that's the case, if this is what he's pushing for, why is the need for ICE, and why is there a need for anti-immigration if you're trying to join and do this whole thing, this Monroe Doctrine thing? That's the part that I don't understand. Or is it a matter of that he just wants to just get rid of people, just like enforce like this government type of thing? That's why I think that this whole ICE situation is not about the immigrants. It's about a show of force, like a militarizing the police. Because if you have a federal police, and then that federal police can go anywhere. When you get like control of all this land, because police are normally statewide or citywide. But if you have a federal force, then that federal force can be enforced once you get control of all this land. It could go up, down, wherever. And that's why I believe that there is like this subversive thing to try to create a military police force that can be called ICE, and that could be the jurisdiction over this thing once he's able to incorporate this kind of Monroe like doctrine uh, mindset. So let's look further into this.
His threat of like, oh, I'll impeach him if he does this, it doesn't mean anything, but it could also mean everything. Here's what I mean. Donald Trump is insanely terrified of being impeached again. He has made that abundantly clear. He told Republicans that 2 weeks ago at their little meeting. And there are some conservatives that are already using his fear of impeachment against him. For example, Family Research Council President Tony Perkins. Recently, Donald Trump came out and he was kind of wishy-washy on the issue of abortion. So Tony Perkins went out there and threatened Donald Trump that, hey, if you get wishy-washy on this and conservatives think that you're kind of pro-choice, then they're going to vote against you. If they vote against you, the Democrats win, the Democrats impeach you. So if you don't want to get impeached, you better come out as anti-abortion. So they're using his fear against him on that issue.
Honey, you don't think Trump had probably several abortions, all them different wives and cheating and whatever? Come on now, Trump is probably like, if you actually went back to all that stuff, he like back to all them different wives he done had, I can guarantee you that he has had some abortions. So I don't know if he says that is super hypocritical. I know that he'd have probably like funded some abortion. Come on now. Because he was Hollywood first. You know what I'm saying? For real. If you don't break the law, you won't have problems with ICE. Don't come here illegally. Everybody's not coming over here illegally, Seth. I don't understand what your mindset is. I just was watching on here where there's people coming over here. I mean, there's people that are getting arrested that are, like babies getting deported and all type of stuff. What did the baby do illegal? 5-month-old baby getting deported? Let me find that video while y'all study up here talking. There was a 5-month-old baby got deported. Let me see.
And they might be able to do it on other issues too. Perhaps they can do it on Greenland. Maybe they can do it on the tariffs. Maybe they could do it on Venezuela or Iran or Canada, anything. Use his own fears against him the same way he has used yours against you. Honestly, that's not a bad strategy. Thanks for watching, and if you are not already subscribed to the channel, please do so, and do not forget to like and comment.
I'm sorry. Oops, my bad. Hit the wrong button. But yeah, this is not just about what you're saying, that just illegal immigration. I think that people that keep putting that in there, they don't have
what
what
it takes to keep the truth from coming out. And that is exactly what he proved this morning, as the DOJ is now moving to charge Don Lemon for exercising his First Amendment rights. Now, we covered this.
You know what? Wait. Before I go into that, let me finish this whole thing about Trump. And this whole all the things that are like really moving toward him getting impeached. I don't want to go further into Don Lemon too quick because there's a lot going on to unpack about what's going on with Trump, and we will get to Don Lemon and that whole thing. But let's go into this. Let's go.
Our president is mentally unwell, and it's freaking me out. Somehow, despite how numb I am to him, this particular story actually shocked me. So we once again have a scenario where we get insight into what Trump is texting behind the scenes. A very famous example of this was when he accidentally sent what was supposed to be a text as a Truth Social post, which who knows how that happens and who knows what that says about one's cognitive abilities when you do that. But this is even crazier because that was to Pam Bondi saying he wants his political enemies locked up. Insane, historic. But this goes another level into insanity. So let me read you the headline. We'll read the whole. It's portrayed here as a letter. I think it says it was a text message. But here's the Washington Post reporting: Trump ties Greenland takeover bid to Nobel Prize in text to Norway leader. What? In a message to Norway's prime minister, President Donald Trump linked his insistence on taking over Greenland to his grievance over not receiving the Nobel Peace Prize. Just to kind of get your head around this. Yes, he's saying he might have to do a military invasion of a different country's territory because he didn't get the Nobel Peace Prize.
Don't you think this is weird? Like, if this is about the Nobel Peace Prize, him trying to control Greenland, I think it's even worse. I think it's really about, like, I mean, I don't know whether he's reading these books and stuff like that, or getting into these doctrines or whatever, and somehow they're like, I mean, I'm not sure if he just might be just a puppet, that they're just using as a person, just sitting up there like, what was that thing, Weekend at Bernie's? Remember Weekend at Bernie's? And Bernie was like dead the whole time, and they just got him up here pretending like he's doing all this stuff, and you blaming Bernie, but really it's somebody else behind the scenes that's really probably reading all these doctrines and all this other stuff, and they really behind everything. That's what I'm believing. And the people that's really y'all support, all y'all people that's up there talking about me right now, all these negative people saying all this stuff in the chat, that believe that Donald is all the way in his full right mind. People like y'all are like cult leaders. You know what I'm saying? Y'all cult members. Y'all just don't even believe. Y'all just don't want to believe that y'all leader is just falling short.
Adding a new twist, continuing at Trump's stoking of a trade war that is shaking the transatlantic alliance. In the weekend text to Norwegian Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Store, Trump wrote that he no longer needed to think purely of peace after he didn't win the Peace Prize last year. What? So here's the actual note. While I read it, please do click the subscribe button if you appreciate this show. It's very simple. All you do is bing. That's it. Makes a big difference. Important stuff we're talking about today. We do want as many people as possible to get the message. Excuse me. So he said, "Dear Jonas," and he's not talking about Nick, "considering your country decided not to give me," so again, this is to the Norwegian prime minister. In Norway is where the Nobel Peace Prize is given out. "Considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars plus, I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace, although it will always be predominant, but can now think about what is good and proper for the United States of America." As I continue reading this, yes, this is real. I had to check like 5 times because sometimes people will post things and say, this is a True Social post, or this is a text of Trump's, or this is a letter, and it's photoshopped to be silly. You would think that's what this is. This is real. Continuing, he says, "Denmark cannot protect that land from Russia or China. And why do they have a right of ownership anyway? There are no written documents. It's only that a boat landed there hundreds of years ago. But we had boats landing there also. I have done more for NATO than any other person since its founding. And now NATO should do something for the United States. The world is not secure unless..."
What has Trump done for NATO more than anybody else in the whole world? What? What? I mean, maybe I don't know. If someone else knows, let me know. What did he do?
We have complete and total control of Greenland. Thank you. We already have military cooperation with Greenland, guys. The security concerns can already be addressed without us taking over our allies' territory against their will. And he signs it off, President DJT. Again, it was described as a text message. Can you imagine getting this text message? Can you imagine that the real president of the United States, in the real world that we're in, is telling you, I didn't get...
I don't believe that you're Native, because if you were Native, you would not be standing up for this, what's going on over there, because they're actually grabbing up Natives too. ICE is grabbing up natives too right now as we speak. So stop it.
The Nobel Peace Prize, so F peace anyways. And then think about this for all of the people, oh my gosh, who told me in debates whenever I would debunk a particular, okay, I remember one in particular, okay? I won't name the person. Good guy, actually, I think. It was a fine conversation. But he said, okay, true, Trump failed on peace with Ukraine. And I said, well, doesn't that make you doubt his strategy when he was running the entire 2024 campaign saying he was going to end Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 24 hours? And the only reason it hadn't already been ended was because Biden was incompetent and Biden was a warmonger. And really, if you just call Putin, you say, what do you say, Cole? You gotta settle.
You gotta settle.
And here's the thing, where will you go next and how many more Americans will die? Well, listen, ask that to ICE, because right now people are dying. There's a lot going on that y'all don't know about. I mean, it's people dying under this whole ICE situation, and y'all might not care and whatever y'all voted for, but it's like this is getting real sticky, guys. Our government has pissed away over $30 trillion, and Trump is making that more. It's a military operations. It's a threat. Somewhere stop being in y'all film. Greenland is of no threat to the United States, sir.
Then he'll stop. And if you call Zelensky and say,
you gotta settle,
then it'll stop. And then Trump will get to make this noise in joy.
yeah.
And it didn't work. And he spent years telling us the only reason the war hadn't ended was because of Biden's ambition for it to continue.
Well, I
right?
was being a little bit sarcastic when I said that.
And so in this debate or conversation I was having with someone, I said, wait.
What if the bomb drops on your head right now?
Delayed aid. Y'all don't know the mental exercise it is to continue speaking while Cole's doing this to me. He delayed aid. He worsened the conditions. He emboldened Russia. Isn't that then something you blame him for as opposed to giving him credit for trying? Because that's what the guy was saying to me. Well, I at least like that Trump was trying. So was Biden. It just wasn't through bending the knee and getting on his knees for Putin. Right? So the argument we were having was, should you credit Trump with at least having a heart that wants peace when all these other people don't?
I'm sorry, man.
And my discussion of Russia's invasion of Ukraine was to illustrate that, no, actually his misunderstanding of this as just not being friendly enough with Putin being the problem is causing worse conditions. Thus, I don't really care where you think his heart is. The outcomes are what I care about, and they weren't in the interest of peace coming more quickly. So similarly, for so long I've heard from people, even if, like I just illustrated to you, you debunk specifically the conflict they think that Trump was a great agent of peace for, they'll say, but he just clearly really wants it, and that's good. And then he takes over Venezuela, and you say, wow, but he doesn't really want it. So if the results often actually get debunked when Trump tries to say he ends 8 wars, complete lie. And in some cases, he's obviously militarily escalating situations. Too many uses of the word situations there. And so then if you're saying, well, the positive, at least that his heart is in the right place, it's not. He just said the only reason I was thinking of peace so hard before was because I want to get the Nobel Peace Prize. And now I don't have to think so much about peace because I'm not getting the award. So even if you believe, which I don't, that he just has this deep, profound care for peace, which his actions don't seem to illustrate, that's not true.
Crazy. I mean, could this whole thing, it's like, it was this whole thing when he was talking about peace only have been because he won the Peace Prize? And now that he doesn't get it, now he wants to warmonger across the world? Like, what is going on? Maybe that was his bucket list. Is this really a bucket list thing going on? Is he really having a bucket list moment?
Because he's admitting it was just about his vain, narcissistic ambition for some medal. And then he refuses to, if you think this is an isolated incident, remember what we talked about in the last show, he refused to give U.S. backing after illegally taking over a different country. That's the wording he uses, but invading, doing a military operation in Venezuela and saying that we're going to control now what goes on there. he refuses to give backing to the Venezuelan opposition leader, Machado, because she wouldn't give him her Nobel Peace Prize that she actually correctly received or legitimately received. And my earpiece is just not staying in my ear.
Of course, we're all talking about him. I mean, his thing, what he does affects us all. Why would we not be obsessed and stop thinking about the president of the United States that's doing things that will affect everybody in the country? Of course. Do you think Trump is going to invade? I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to cut that. No, that's not going to happen. If he does, I don't know what to think about that. I don't think that's going to be a good turnout because people are already moving in space, ready for that to go down, and that's going to cause a big to-do.
And then she goes to the White House and gives him the Nobel Peace Prize, to which the Nobel Peace Prize committee people say you can't transfer it, but now he has it, the physical thing. And so all of this is one of the most profound and terrifying, chilling exemplifications of what Trump cares about. And it's one thing. And that one thing has Big Mac juices pumping through its blood, coagulating around the ankles, Filet-O-Fish leaking out of his ears with a nice orange sheen. And that one thing is Donald Trump. That's all he cares about. And the fact that anyone for so long earnestly, I think in their heart, believed that he was looking out for them or he actually cared about people abroad being killed, were totally duped to the point where he would admit to the Norwegian prime minister that he won't care about peace if it doesn't mean if it means he won't care about peace if he doesn't get the Nobel Peace Prize. And by the way, I kind of think this is all about how much he just wishes he was Obama, because, Obama got the Nobel Peace Prize and he actually got it. He didn't use his military to force an opposition leader into giving it to him. He actually got it. And Trump, I think Obama in a lot of ways just kind of broke Trump weirdly. And some people think he even ran for president because Obama mocked him at that correspondence dinner. This all might just be he has the craziest, most globally catastrophic boy crush on Obama.
You're my dad.
Now listen, when Obama got out of presidency, Trump did everything to abolish everything everything Obama had done in his presidency. He did the first 2 weeks, month, whatever. Everything he was doing was about undoing what Obama had done. So to me, that does seem like it's an obsession that he has with Obama. Obama been gone, but he got the Nobel Peace. Now he won it. He didn't get it. Now he mad. Now he want to ring.
Daddy.
I think he just wants to be Obama.
Yeah.
We have a truly
The biggest load that we've seen.
unprecedented ability to sexualize any topic. Thank you. Thank you. And Cole's definitely in a mood today. We can tell where that's going. So
Please come, President Trump. They're begging us to come.
now we check in on our allies are all condemning Trump for these threats. And he's tariffing countries who oppose his Greenland takeover. So we get to pay more. So we have to have our costs increase so he can punish countries for not supporting him illegally taking over territory. We get punished for it. And our allies hate this. What do our adversaries think? Well, Russia is loving it.
What are this morning's Russian papers saying about Donald Trump's determination to take over Greenland? Well, the headline in Moskovsky Komsomolets refers to him as the mad chief doctor of the asylum. Last week brought a good joke. For decades, Denmark, as part of NATO, had been expecting Russia to attack it. But the attack has come from NATO. You get the feeling that in the asylum, the head doctor too has gone mad and everything has gone to pieces. But what can you do? He's in charge. Europe is at a total loss. And to be honest, it's a pleasure to watch this. What, should NATO countries start fighting with one of the founders of NATO? I'd watch that. This is the Russian government paper Rossiyskaya Gazeta. Quite an extraordinary article on Greenland. I'm going to quote it at length because I think it tells us a lot about Moscow's position on this. Note the absence of criticism of Donald Trump for wanting Greenland. In fact, it's quite the opposite. This piece borders on praise. Listen to the first part. If Trump achieves the annexation of Greenland by July the 4th, 2026, when America celebrates the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, he will undoubtedly become one of the historical figures to assert the greatness of the United States. With Greenland, the United States will become the second largest country in the world after Russia, surpassing Canada in area.
Why would Russia be cool with this? Is it because when America does this, then it loses its allies? Why would Russia be touting and pushing this narrative? Are they for Western versus Eastern, like the whole Western block of area and Eastern block? What is going on?
So you see the tone? The tone is, they thought Russia was going to attack, but instead it's coming from inside the house, inside the NATO house, and they love it. This is Russia. This is the Kremlin when they see Trump ripping apart our alliances for his own vanity. Yeah. I thought Cole was going to hit it there. So he'll hit it.
I love minors.
Okay. So yes, they very much love it. And that is pretty chilling for sure. Some people, by the way, are saying 25th Amendment with how unhinged Trump is.
Do I sound mad? I'm not mad. I'm just reporting what's going on. I'm just asking questions like, why would this happen? Why would Russia be okay with Trump taking over Greenland? That's weird. You understand what I'm saying? That's not a thing that what? That's not something that we should be like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense, right? What? So again, we go into impeachment. So the Congress is so all this stuff is going on. Meanwhile, Congress demands impeachment.
Donor who was so close that Trump invited him to sleep at the White House is now calling for him to be impeached and replaced by Vice President J.D. Vance. The man who was handed nearly unfettered access to the federal government is openly musing about forming his own political party. And the same guy, the billionaire backing the U.S. space program, he's now threatening to take his rockets and go home. What at this time yesterday was a one-sided attack on the president's signature spending bill is no longer just a policy disagreement, not even close. It has now become quite personal, as the president says he thinks he knows why.
Well, look, I've always liked Elon, and it's always very surprised. You saw the words he had for me, and he hasn't said anything about me that's bad. I'd rather have him criticize me than the bill, because the bill is incredible. It's the biggest cut in the history of our country. We've never cut.
Okay, so Trump is absolutely refusing to back down, even as impeachment demands are exploding from Democrats and activist groups over basically everything he's done in his first few weeks back in office. Venezuela, the ICE crackdown, Greenland, the Epstein files, stonewalling, all of it. Now, let's be really clear about what's actually happening here, because I don't want anyone thinking there's some unified congressional ultimatum where Democrats are formally demanding Trump impeach or resign. That's not the case. There's no official impeachment resolution that's been brought to a vote. There's no Speaker of the House issuing Trump a deadline. Nothing that dramatic is happening right now. But what is happening is that impeachment talk has gone from being a fringe progressive position to being absolutely everywhere in Democratic politics, with multiple members of Congress calling Trump's Venezuela operation an impeachable offense, with activist coalitions launching massive Impeach Trump Again campaigns that have gathered over 1 million petition signatures, and with Trump himself now openly telling Republicans at private retreats that if they lose the House in November, he will get impeached. So today we're breaking down exactly what Democrats and progressive groups are demanding when they call for impeachment over Venezuela and ICE and all the rest, why Trump's response is pure defiance, where he's doubling down on the exact policies that are driving the impeachment calls. What Trump's warning to Republicans about losing the midterms tells us about his political strategy. And most importantly, whether impeachment becomes the defining issue of the 2026 midterms or whether it's a political trap that could backfire on Democrats if swing voters think they're more focused on removing Trump than on addressing actual problems people care about, like inflation and safety.
Welcome to the panel, Men in High Castle.
Rise and shine, America. Rise and shine. It is a new day.
Right. So on today's thing, I just wanted I just got in from work and I said, you know what? Let me just go ahead and address some of the things that are going on. As I look through my timeline, I'm seeing talks of Trump impeachment. I see the whole Don Lemon situation. I see the ICE stuff. So I said, you know what? I could just go to bed and wake up in the morning. But so you know what? Let me just address some of the stuff that's going on, because I was like, you know what? I do have some new things I do plan on doing coming up. But I said, you know what? That does not mean I should not address some of the things that are really happening in the world. What do you think about this whole Trump impeachment situation? Do you think it's a farce? Do you think it's a made up thing? Or do you think it could actually happen? What do you think?
That's a great question, DJ Genesis. Everyone in the chat,
Hold
hit the
on.
like button.
Let me just say this. This is not a hate channel. I don't hate Trump. I don't hate anybody. This is a channel that's meant for discussion. And I always put the StreamYard link in the chat, and I allow people to voice their opinions. I am not partial to any party of Democrat or Republican. I think they're two wings of the same gay behind bird. I think that they're people want to talk about LGBTQ on the Democrat. They're out in the crowd. Well, honey, on the other side, they might be in the closet, tucked behind a wing, a feather somewhere. But nevertheless, it's a whole lot of stuff going on both sides. So I'm not a left wing or a right wing or a woke or none of that. You understand? I'm just here to open up the conversation, get people thinking and talking, showing the information that's out there, and then it's up to you guys to come up here and discuss it. I'm not here to sway your opinion or make you think one way or the other. Now, I do have my opinions. I do think that what's going on with this Minnesota situation and trying to put military people into this situation with Minnesota, where it was a self-created thing. Of course, people are going to fight back, but then when they fight back, now you want to bring the military in, people's families and stuff like this, to fight within our country. That's not cool. I don't agree with that, because we have bigger fish to fry. If we take our resources and we have them in Minnesota, we're easily attacked because we're not focusing on other situations where we could be making sure that things are secure. If we're taking people off of posts in other countries and to come and fight a situation in Minnesota, what are we doing? And you could say that whatever. I just think that there's more to the story. But I'm gonna let you go ahead and make your statement. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So what was the question again?
The question was impeachment. Do you think that there's a chance that Donald Trump be impeached?
That's a great question, DJ Genesis. That's the $1 million question. And according to the man in the high castle, that's a non-factor. President Trump has only held this second term for roughly under a year, or a year, and he's doing a fantastic job. He's doing everything that Americans voted for. And I'm one of those Americans who are proud to have President Trump as the 47th president of the United States of America, and he is the best and the greatest president. I voted for
Right,
this.
so let me let you know, like I'm trying to like keep up with this chat. It's kind of going fast. What was the outcome of the poll I did? Was it that I think I said should he be impeached? I think the answer was no, that he should not be impeached. I think that was the final answer, right? I gotta like look on there and see what the results of the poll was. I think it said that they should not be impeached. Let's see what the poll.
Anytime this impeachment thing comes up, his popularity roars stronger and stronger. Also, the red wave is coming. The red wave is coming for America, and it's going to be beautiful. The golden age is here. Common sense is back in business.
Okay, does anybody know what the result? I missed it, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm new to the polls, guys. Who saw what the poll results was on should President Trump be impeached? Did anybody see it? What the results were? And I did a new poll about okay, so if he gets in, would you prefer JD Vance or President Trump? It says so. No, it said no. Okay. It said no. So majority of my audience says that no, he should not be impeached. So the next question is JD Vance or Trump?
That's Trump all day. That's
Well,
Trump.
no, right now it's at 50-50. So people are like torn. Your obese lady voice fatigues me. Well, then let me just help you out. I'm going to ban you and you don't have to hear my voice anymore. Thank you. Goodbye. Elon Musk. Okay. Anyways, let's go. Let's talk about like some of the things that are happening and with this whole impeachment discussions happening. You know, because I'm not calling for impeachment. I'm just saying that this is what discussion is. All I do is bring the information to the table. I don't have an opinion otherwise.
But before we go any further, real quick, let's be honest. You can't really trust mainstream media anymore. That's why we built Pump Politics, to bring you real stories, real context, and no corporate spin. If you want to stay ahead of the headlines, join our free newsletter.
Man who was very happy when he electric vehicle.
I'm sorry, I don't like all of
Join us. Be part of the community that actually cares about the
for electric vehicles, and they're having a hard time, the electric vehicles, and they want us to pay billions of dollars in subsidy. And
so it's saying Trump refuses as Congress demands impeachment.
Elon knew this from the beginning.
As Trump was speaking from the Oval Office, Elon Musk responded in real time, writing this, quote, false. This bill was never shown to me even once and was passed in the dead of the night so fast that almost no one in Congress could even read it. And quote, whatever, keep the EV solar incentive cuts in the bill, even though no oil and gas subsidies are touched. Very unfair. But ditch the mountain of disgusting pork in the bill.
Man who was very happy when he stood behind the Oval desk. And even with the black eye, I said, you want a little makeup? We'll get you a little makeup. But he said, no, I don't think so, which is interesting. He's worn the hat. Trump was right about everything. And I am right about the great, big, beautiful bill. We call it a great, big, beautiful bill because that's what it is.
Let's start with what Democrats are actually saying about impeachment and what specific Trump actions they're citing as impeachable offenses, because this matters a lot for understanding whether this is serious or just political noise. According to ABC News reporting, there's a rising clamor inside the Democratic base and the Progressive Caucus to impeach Trump over a whole list of things: the Venezuela military operation, DOJ weaponization through Kash Patel's FBI purges, ICE abuses including the Minneapolis shooting, the Epstein files stonewalling, and the broader pattern of executive overreach and abuse of power. And this isn't just random Twitter activists or fringe.
And here's the thing: is this something do you think that this could happen? Do you think that they have grounds to stand on? Let's go.
Sympathetic to this effort, but documents what's happening. This coalition has gathered over 1 million signatures on online petitions calling for Trump's impeachment. And they're pushing multiple impeachment resolutions that don't just target Trump, but also go after Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth over the Venezuela operation and Attorney General Pam Bondi over the Epstein files, stonewalling, and DOJ politicization. So this is a comprehensive campaign arguing that Trump and his top officials have committed impeachable offenses across multiple areas of policy, and that the only appropriate response is impeachment and removal from office. And these groups are specifically framing this as impeach Trump again, playing on the fact that Trump has already been impeached twice before, suggesting that he's a serial abuser of power who keeps committing impeachable offenses and needs to finally be removed. Now, the substance of these impeachment arguments varies depending on which Trump action you're talking about. On Venezuela, the impeachment argument is pretty straightforward. Trump launched a military operation that resulted in the capture and removal of a foreign head of state without getting congressional authorization for military action, which Democrats argue violates the War Powers Resolution and the Constitution's allocation of
If you want me to pause, let me know.
war powers to Congress. The argument is that Trump doesn't have the authority to unilaterally invade another country and overthrow its government, that this requires congressional approval, and that doing it anyway is an abuse of presidential power that rises to the level of high crimes and misdemeanors. On the ICE issue, the impeachment argument focuses on civil rights violations and the Minneapolis shooting, where an innocent bystander was killed during an ICE raid. Democrats are arguing that Trump's mass deportation agenda is being carried out in ways that violate constitutional protections, that the aggressive tactics are resulting in deaths of innocent people, and that Trump's rhetoric encouraging ICE agents to be tough and not worry about being too careful is creating a climate where abuses are inevitable. On the Epstein files, the argument is obstruction and cover-up, that Bondi and Trump are defying a transparency law passed by Congress, that they're protecting powerful people who are connected to Epstein, and that this stonewalling is itself an impeachable abuse of power. But here's where it gets politically complicated. Democratic leadership is reportedly not fully on board with making impeachment the centerpiece of their 2026 strategy. According to the ABC News reporting, party leaders are urging Democratic candidates to focus on cost of living issues, on kitchen table economics, on things that swing voters actually care about rather than on impeachment, which could come across as Democrats being more interested in going after Trump than in solving real problems. There's this tension within the party between the progressive base that absolutely wants impeachment and views it as a moral imperative to hold Trump accountable, and the more pragmatic wing that worries impeachment talk could backfire politically by making Democrats look obsessed with Trump rather than focused on voters' actual concerns. And this tension is playing out in real time as we head toward the midterms. You've got progressive candidates and activists saying we need to promise voters we'll impeach Trump if we win the House.
All right, so Queen says, every step of the way the Supreme Court has been approving. Now they are tired of the courts, so let's get a petition. So same old, same old.
Well, first and foremost, when America was under the Biden-Harris administration, they prioritized immigrants way above proud American citizens here in the U.S. On the contrary, Trump prioritizes the golden age, which would consist of a prosperous time where Americans focus on job opportunities, production of more job growth, industry, economics, prioritizing Americans first, U.S. citizens. And he's doing a damn good job, if I do say so myself. It's just with the sentiment. America is moving towards a positive nationalism. Our GDP growth is increasing. Our military, our brave men and women in the uniform are focused more on their career and protecting American citizens here at home and abroad. America's back in business, baby.
While you've got Democratic consultants and strategists warning that over-focusing on impeachment could cost Democrats winnable seats in swing districts where voters might agree Trump is bad, but also think Democrats should be working on inflation and healthcare rather than trying to remove him from office. And there's some polling that suggests the strategists might have a point about impeachment being risky politically. According to Truthout reporting, polls show that while Democratic voters overwhelmingly support impeachment Independent voters are much more mixed and might view it as partisan overreach rather than legitimate accountability. The challenge for Democrats is that their base demands impeachment, their activists are organizing around it, progressive candidates are making it central to their campaigns, but the swing voters they need to actually win the House might be turned off by what looks like Democrats relitigating 2020 and Trump's past rather than offering a positive vision for the future. So Democratic leadership is trying to thread this needle where they acknowledge the impeachment demands from their base. They don't shut down the conversation entirely, but they also try to keep the main focus of their midterm messaging on economic issues and Trump's unpopular policies rather than on the procedural question of whether to impeach and remove him. Now, let's talk about how Trump is responding to all of this impeachment pressure, because his reaction tells you a lot about his political strategy and his psychological state. Trump's answer to the impeachment demands is pure defiance. He's not backing down. He's not moderating his behavior. He's not trying to avoid giving Democrats more ammunition. Instead, he's doubling down on the exact policies that are driving the impeachment calls, and he's turning the impeachment threat into a weapon he can use to rally Republicans and motivate his base.
Now, when I did the poll, I see it 50-50 split between J.D. Vance and Trump. So it sounds like the audience in here is split between whether or not they want Trump to continue or they want J.D. Vance to take over. That's interesting. Let's go.
January 6th House GOP retreat, Trump told Republican lawmakers flat out that you have to win the midterms because if we don't, they'll discover a reason to impeach me. I'll be impeached, not might be impeached, not there's a risk of impeachment. I will be impeached if Democrats win the House. Trump is making this prediction himself. He's stating it as inevitable, and he's using it to create urgency among Republicans that they absolutely have to hold the House or else Democrats are going to impeach him again. And notice the language Trump uses. They'll discover a reason to impeach me. Not they'll impeach me for legitimate reasons, not they'll hold me accountable for actual abuses. They'll discover a reason, implying that Democrats are just looking for any excuse and that impeachment would be illegitimate political persecution rather than constitutional accountability. This framing is really important for understanding Trump's political strategy around impeachment. He's not trying to convince anyone that he hasn't done anything impeachable. He's not defending the Venezuela operation or the ICE tactics or the Epstein stonewalling on the merits. He's preemptively framing any future impeachment as partisan witch hunt, regardless of what the actual grounds are. And that framing is effective with his base because they already believe Democrats are out to get Trump unfairly. They already view the previous two impeachments as hoaxes. So when Trump says Democrats will find a reason to impeach him if they get power, that confirms their existing worldview that this is all about Democrats hating Trump rather than about Trump's actual conduct. Trump is essentially inoculating himself against impeachment by getting ahead of it and defining it as illegitimate before it even happens. And this strategy probably works to motivate Republican turnout. If you're a Trump supporter and you believe Democrats are just going to impeach Trump no matter what because they're partisan hacks, then you're probably pretty motivated to vote in the midterms to prevent Democrats from getting that power. But Trump isn't just warning about impeachment. He's actively giving Democrats more reasons to pursue it by continuing and escalating the exact behaviors that are driving impeachment calls. Look at what he's done since the impeachment talk started heating up. He's continued defending the Venezuela operation. He's continued the aggressive ICE enforcement despite the Minneapolis shooting. He's continued stonewalling on the Epstein files through Bondi. He's continued pressuring the Fed despite the Supreme Court case. He's continued allowing Patel to purge the FBI despite the lawsuits from fired agents. Trump isn't moderating or trying to avoid controversy. He's leaning into it and daring Democrats to impeach him. And this makes sense from Trump's perspective because he's concluded that his base rewards him for fighting rather than for compromising, that showing weakness by backing down would be more damaging to him politically than giving Democrats impeachment ammunition. Trump's whole brand is that he's a fighter who doesn't apologize and doesn't change course based on criticism from his enemies. So even when that creates legal and political problems for him, he feels like he has to maintain that brand or risk losing the support that's keeping him in power. There's also this element where Trump genuinely seems to believe he won't be removed even if he is impeached.
So there's the Trump impeachment talks. This is the what's a woman's aunt? What does it mean? Anyways, so the bottom line is that these talks are continuing, and I mean, I think they're going to continue and get more and more aggressive as it gets closer to the time to vote in November. So let's get close. Let's move move to the next subject. So the next subject I wanted to talk about is what's happening in the whole situation with the ICE thing. And then
before you start,
go ahead.
Proud Americans, today is January 20th, 2026, so I've been told. The man in the high castle, previously on Alchemizing Energy, was giving forewarning about the possible next government shutdown because the Democrats do not want to play fair and square, and they're upset. We have 10 more days, Americans. 10 more days. So do not be underprepared. Get your supplies, your provisions, your tools, whatever you have to do, because these Democrats are untrustworthy. They do not even want to attempt to avert a government shutdown. They have not come to the table.
It is not good. You basically have ICE and federal officials acting as an occupying army and terrorizing the people of Minneapolis. And now Trump is openly threatening invoking the Insurrection Act. And in fact, I believe certain troops have been put on notice, on standby, to potentially be sent in there. So this is not good. Let me start with a little bit of good news, and then I'll give you all the updates on the ground. So look at this. A federal judge in Minnesota has just ordered restrictions on ICE's tactics against protesters, including stopping cars that aren't obstructing them. Federal agents are hereby halted from retaliating against persons who are engaging in peaceful and unobstructive protest activity, including observing the activities of Operation Metro Surge. So in other words, if they're following you, you can't say shit, you can't do shit. They're well within their legal rights to follow you and record you. Arresting or detaining persons who are engaging in peaceful and unobstructive protest activity, including observing the activities of Operation Metro Surge in retaliation for their protected conduct and absent a showing of probable cause or reasonable suspicion that the person has committed a crime or is obstructing or interfering with the activities of covered federal officers, of using pepper spray or similar non-lethal munitions and crowd dispersal tools against persons who are engaging in peaceful and unobstructive protest activity, including observing the activities of Operation Metro Surge in retaliation for their protected conduct. So they're saying you can't use the tear gas, you can't use the pepper spray and stuff like that. And stopping or detaining drivers and passengers in vehicles where there is no reasonable articulable suspicion that they are forcibly obstructing or interfering with covered federal agents or otherwise violating.
So here's the thing. Before this, ICE was able to run rickshaw, okay? They were able to do whatever they want to do. Now they're beginning, because this is a new police force. So now they have to start putting laws into place to be able to legalize, these are the laws you have to live by, right? Prior to that, it was no holds barred. You get to do whatever the heck you want to do. And so now they're beginning the courts are starting to get involved. Okay, we can't do this, can't do that, can't do this. And meanwhile, even if these agents don't have names, you don't know who they are, they're able to cover who they are. And the whole objective is these agents, they'll get doxxed if we were allowing them to show their face or put their name badge on, whatever, it would make them get doxxed. But if you're a federal agent, you can't get doxxed. You're a federal agent. But you're a federal agent, bottom line.
That part of the law, the act of safely following covered federal agents at an appropriate distance, does not by itself create reasonable suspicion to justify a vehicle stop. So all this is great news. Will they actually listen? That's the open question, because this regime has blown off court orders time and time again in the past. The other thing is, and I believe we'll get to this, there's a quota. I believe the Wall Street Journal reported that ICE has a quota when it comes to arrests. So you might be, watching how they act, how they're rounding up innocent civilians. You have people saying, well, hold on, I'm an American citizen. I have my papers right here. And they go, I don't care. I'm arresting you. Well, come to find out, there's a quota for arrests. And if they hit the quota, they get bonuses like cash and stuff like that. And so that's why they're they're terrorizing people and they're arresting whoever for whatever reason or non-reason they want. So this is totally, totally unhinged. Let's look at this. This is what the people of Minnesota are hearing in the dead of night when ICE tries to sneak up on them while they're sleeping. This woman screams, they're here. Close your doors. Get inside. Lock your doors. Stay safe. This woman stays up to warn her neighbors. You know what this reminds me of? And you're about to see this right now. What this reminds me of is The Wire. When Omar walks down the street and they go, Omar's coming. And then people run inside and they go and they warn people. That's what this looks like. This is absolutely chilling. Watch this.
The British are coming. The British are coming.
Like, fuck all of y'all that voted for this. Like, what is wrong with y'all? My God.
I'm going to say this. We could say we're not here. We're not in Minnesota where this is happening at. And we can say we voted for this. But I would hate to be in my house and hear people screaming. Hell no. See, y'all can say whatever y'all want to say, but if I was in my house and I'm hearing people screaming outside, I would be terrified. Like, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? So it's great to say that, you know what, I voted for this to happen because the illegal people need to get gone. But this is turning into something that is it seemed like Freddy's two is coming for you. You know what I'm saying? So
all I could say before you start the video, DJ Genesis, is that the people out there in Minnesota understand the price of having those Somalians there and the illegal immigrants. Proud Americans out in Minnesota, your voice is also being heard. Relief is on its way. The rescue team is coming. Trust and believe. ICE is doing God's work. And also, know for certain that ICE was created way before President Trump. You can even look at it where even Obama, under the Obama administration in 2015, Obama awarded now current border czar Tom Homan the award for Distinguished American. He put that medallion across his neck. Obama deported way more than Trump ever has.
Right. But the way it's happening right now is not how Obama did it.
Jesus.
Border Patrol Chief Gregory Ravino was found by a federal judge to have been evasive, not credible, and was outright lying at times when questioned under oath about how agents use force against the public. So now the head of the Border Patrol, who's also on the ground there, more extreme even than ICE, this guy who, by the way, literally dresses like a Nazi on purpose. Let me repeat that. He dresses like a Nazi on purpose. This guy was found to just be fucking totally making shit up in court. That's who we're dealing with here. Here's a local news report on the raid in St. Paul where agents used an invalid warrant, detained a 12-year-old boy, and later transferred him to an ICE detention center in Texas, separating him from his family. Here we go.
Neighbors in St. Paul are concerned after they say federal agents raided a home on their street without a warrant and took away 6 people.
They say agents even hauled off a 12-year-old boy who is now at an immigration center in Texas. Fox 9's Mike Manzotti is live in St. Paul tonight. Right, Mike, several cameras inside the home captured what happened.
Yeah, agents stormed in and then searched the house room by room. The neighbors say that the agents told them it had something to do with a narcotics investigation, but the neighbors are suspicious because of something caught on camera just moments before that raid.
They started banging the door, kicked the door in.
This video shows the moment federal agents stormed into a house in St. Paul on Thursday. It happened on Nevada Avenue East around 5 o'clock. Neighbor Jeffrey Jones watched it all unfold.
It's different when it hits so close to home, right next door to you and actually having a relationship with these people.
In the video,
it's different when it hits so close to home. So it's one thing we can watch it online and be like, oh, that shit ain't whatever. Yeah, go, get them illegals. And then when it happens right next to your house and your own kids are terrified because they're hearing the rumbling and the fumbling and all the thing, you got like the protesters protesting, people screaming, whistles blowing, and now your area is being affected by it. Right now, we're not feeling it. That's why I think a lot of people are like, yeah, keep going. No.
Who's not feeling it? Who's supposed to be feeling it?
Are you in an area where people are blowing whistles, screaming, all that, whatever's going on, all this stuff going on, people busting down doors? You're not there. This is
again. Who's supposed to be feeling it?
The people that's in the neighborhood. Like he just said, like it's one thing where he said that he says, like listen, this is what the guy says. He says,
Minnesota is not listening to this administration. Obviously, they're
How about the administration? It's about
left.
human beings, right? So you're saying it's always about the far left, and it's the left and left, the left.
The far left out
far
there in
left
Minnesota is running Minnesota
No,
to
the
the
far
ground.
left is not the one that is sending these officers into the house.
With a narcotics investigation, but the neighbors are suspicious because of something caught on camera just moments before that raid.
They started banging the door, kicked the door in.
This video shows the moment federal agents stormed into a house in St. Paul on Thursday. It happened on Nevada Avenue East around 5 o'clock. Neighbor Jeffrey Jones watched it all unfold.
It's different when it hits so close to home, right next door to you, and actually having a relationship with these people.
In the video, you see a woman holding an infant. Neighbors say agents let her and the baby stay, but they took everyone else, including a 12-year-old boy.
She asked for the warrant. They said they had one, but they never showed it to her.
By the way, okay, super important, guys. She asked for a warrant. They say they have it. They lie all the time. So you need to say, let me see the warrant, and it's got to be a judicial warrant, not an administrative warrant. And what they're doing is they're lying, and they say they have a warrant, but it's an administrative warrant. That's not valid. It's got to be a judicial warrant signed by a judge.
Francis Clatworthy tried to pick up the boy from a Twin Cities federal building on Friday, but had no luck.
They said that they sent him to San Antonio.
Neighbors say agents told them it was all part of a narcotics investigation and had nothing to do with immigration. But Sean Piet is suspicious because this video from his outdoor camera shows someone dropping off a package just minutes before the raid.
Federal agents inside were telling him there's drugs in it. And if no one inside at the time claimed that package, that they were going to take everybody in the house.
And one other thing struck.
Are you kidding me? So it looks like they planted drugs to then use ICE to go in there and just arrest everybody. Jesus Christ, man. I literally think all of this it goes back to the fact that there's a quota for arrests. I think it all goes back to that. I think it goes back to that and the fact that, like I said, we're dealing with white nationalists and Proud Boys here. And so they're just terrorizing innocent people.
Struck them as odd. This warrant from a state, not a federal court, showed up on the doorstep the day after the raid. But it does not look exactly like this sample warrant that a state court spokesman sent us. It doesn't have a case number or a file stamp.
Oh my God, they're faking warrants now? This country is straight barbecue chicken, dog. Holy shit.
And there's no record that agents ever filed it, though they do have 10 days to do that.
This morning, they dropped it off here. The piece of paper that said that they had a warrant to search the house.
And she says the family came here from Venezuela 3 years ago and added that the adults all have work permits as well as real IDs. We, of course, reached out to federal officials for more information, but haven't heard back yet. We're live in St. Paul. Mike
Nasra Ahmed, 23 years old, was stopped by ICE in St. Paul while heading to pick up seizure and anxiety medication. She told agents she's a U.S. citizen born in Hennepin County, but was detained anyway and is now jailed without bail as her family fears for her health. And this is what we've seen so much of. They round up innocent people, they lock them up, the people beg and plead and say, look, I have this medical condition, I have that medical condition, I need this drug, I need that drug. If I don't get it, my life's in danger. And they don't care, and they don't do anything. This has happened time and time and time again. This is an absolute nightmare, and they need to get sued into oblivion for the way that they're treating people here. This is insane. This is fucking just primitive ass, savage, barbaric shit that we're looking at here, where people get denied medication they need in order to survive. Breaking, the Jonathan Ross cover-up is real. The Trump administration said ICE agent Jonathan Ross was hospitalized for internal bleeding after killing Renee Good. Yet reports show he stayed on the scene for 15 plus minutes and was only taken to a federal building, not a hospital. He only went to a federal building, not a hospital. By the way, it was CBS. They shopped around that fake news story, and they ended up giving it to CBS, where Barry Weiss insisted that it runs. There was internal bleeding by Jonathan Ross. First of all, internal bleeding, the most common version of it, is literally just a bruise. That's point number one. Point number two, I don't even believe he had a bruise. I think they're lying about that shit. I've seen the video from every which angle 1,000 times. That motherfucker's fine. He ain't never been better in his life. He's in perfect health. So, of course, the state propaganda outlet, CBS, is now doing the state propaganda that the regime wants, thinking it's going to fucking fool anybody. It's not, okay? It is not even close. Unbelievable the way that they lie about this shit. My God. Reporting from the Wall Street Journal covers the ICE incentive structure. ICE agents get additional rewards based on their arrest, like I told you. Those rewards count even if the person is released without charges. That is one of the main reasons why you're seeing so many innocent people get rounded up.
So they're rounding up innocent people, and they get like their quota's hit, They get like their funding, their money, and so it doesn't even matter who they pick up, whether they're American citizens or not, because they have a quota of people to catch every day, and that's the problem. And so as much as everybody's like, well, they're illegal. Well, no, they're picking up regular American citizens as well.
No, they're not. That's fake news.
Why fake news? Okay, well, show me, give me.
Show me where Americans are being rounded up.
That's what he's
How about
talking
that?
about. He's
He's talking about that, and he's coming from the far left.
What is the far left, though?
You're advocating.
New, I'm told
for them.
multiple ICE agents with rooms booked at the St. Paul downtown DoubleTree by Hilton received this notice today that the rooms are being canceled and the hotel will temporarily close due to heightened public safety concerns in St. Paul. I called the hotel and checked online, and they are indeed not taking any bookings right now. They referred me to other hotels. I'm told this also happened today at the Intercontinental St. Paul, with ICE agents with bookings there notified the hotel will be temporarily closing today due to the ongoing unrest in Minnesota. An agent who talked to the front desk manager there says he was told it was done to protect staff because they have been getting threats from unknown individuals for lodging DHS agents. So let me explain something to you guys. At first, there were rumblings of these hotels are just keeping out federal officials, where they made a decision.
All right. So, U.S. citizens targeted by ICE, U.S. citizens targeted by Immigration and Customs Enforcement in Texas. Like it's not just a matter of that they're only picking up people from that are only immigrants. They get picked up by and here's hold on, let me find even more. Hold on.
Press a 1 in the chat if you agree with DJ Genesis. With the Americans are being rounded
I
up.
tell my audience to like press a 1 in the chat. Like the bottom line is that have helped more than 170 Americans as of October 2025. Congress.gov. Toddler, like all U.S. citizens that have been caught up. It's been toddlers. It's been a bunch of people. Let's not pretend like they're not picking up U.S. citizens.
They're not rounding up U.S. citizens.
But they are still grabbing them as they're not like I said when this whole thing started, they're gonna like just be rounding everybody up and sorting it out later on.
Like, look, there's more trouble than it's worth. We don't want to keep him here. It brings heat down on us. We don't feel safe. We don't want to do it. Right? That's what we heard first. Of course, the federal government pushed back on that and said, how dare you? You can't not allow the federal agents to be there. We get to go wherever the fuck we want. You're discriminating against us, basically, was the argument from the feds. So then, what did the hotels do? As you can see, they went, okay, well, we'd rather shut down completely and not allow anybody to get a room than stay open and allow you to get rooms. So that's what's happening with a lot of these hotels. I'm going to say right now, I hope every single hotel in this region in Minnesota does the same goddamn thing. Shut down. Shut down completely. You need to make it practically impossible for these thugs to keep on terrorizing the people of Minnesota. You have to make it practically impossible. And
ICE is doing God's work.
This proves that the protesting is working. This proves that the anger is working. This proves that the pressure campaign is working.
So how is it God's work?
That's a great question.
Yes, ICE is doing God's work. Go ahead.
That's a great question, DJ Genesis. Everyone in the live chat, if you agree with the man in the high castle, please press 2. God's work with ICE. First and foremost, ICE is here to protect America, and they're getting rid of the debauchery and the illegals who are committing crimes just by being here. They're usurping our tax dollars, American tax dollars. They're hoarding our vacant apartments that could be readily available and housing that could be readily available for you and I as Americans. They're at the top of the Section 8 list for some reason that is meant for Americans. They don't care about the homeless who are U.S. citizens. ICE is now prioritizing getting rid of those who are occupying these housing in urban environments. veterans who are now on the streets one day will soon be able to occupy affordable housing. The last administration did not care about American homelessness. I want to clear that up. This administration is trying to clear up the streets, clean up the streets.
Actually, it cannot
Crime
apply.
is down low, lower than ever, all across America. Detroit crime rate is down. Baltimore crime rate is down. Memphis crime rate is down. Look at these radical left-wing lunatics out there in Georgia. Governor Warnock with his glasses. Look at Mayor Karen Bass with her glasses. Tim Walz with his glasses out there in Minnesota, all bugged out. Have you ever watched the movie 1988, They Live by John Carpenter? I suggest that you check that out, proud Americans.
That if they feel like, hey, we got nowhere to go, no hotels are open, it makes it impossible for them to do this job of terrorizing people and being an occupying force. So it's actually phenomenal that they're shutting down these hotels. Guys, this is just, I can't. ICE deports 5-year-old U.S. citizen from Texas to Honduras, group says. They literally didn't even notify the family, y'all. They didn't notify CPS. They didn't notify the family. They kidnapped and human trafficked a 5-year-old U.S. citizen. If you take any position other than abolish ICE, you're a fucking wretched, repulsive, vile cretin. And I mean that. Democrat, Republican, I don't give a fuck. If you take any position other than abolish ICE, there's no hope for you. There's no hope for you. There's no hope. How do you look at this and say, oh yeah, this is salvageable? All we need is better training. Oh, really? You need better training? You want them to more humanely deport 5-year-old American citizens and rip them away from their family members? What the fuck is wrong with you people?
What about
Holy
Elian
shit.
Gonzalez?
A baby was hospitalized after being tear gassed by ICE. The family was not illegal and not even protesting, just driving home from their son's basketball game. This can't be reformed. Time to abolish ICE. That's exactly right. Here's the baby that was tear gassed. Unbelievable. By the way, Kristi Noem fucking doubled down on the smug, disgusting asshole that she is, the criminal that she is.
Acknowledge that. I want to talk to you about some of the incidents that the public has seen. There was a U.S. citizen, Aliyah Rahman, on her way to a medical appointment out in Minneapolis. She was dragged out of her car and detained. Video of her arrest was spreading on social media. There were allegations there of aggressive tactics.
Allegations of aggressive tactics. It's on right in front of your eyes right now. It's on TV. What are you talking about? Allegations? Ain't no allegations.
Get out the car.
What the fuck is this?
Seen other incidents, for example, out in Minneapolis, this family with 6 children, with one as young as 6 months old, got kind of caught in the incident as they were driving to basketball practice. The mother, Destiny Jackson, told CBS ICE agents stopped the car, told them to leave, but the agents were in the way, and they feared that they would have happened to them what happened to Renee Good. They didn't drive off. ICE released a canister of tear gas, and the mother described giving her infant CPR.
Oh my God. Those new Nuremberg trials cannot happen fast enough, y'all. It cannot. We can't go on like this. We literally can't go on like
that video there.
This is America, not Germany.
Heavy-handed?
No, but family was caught up in that situation because of violent protesters that were.
Oh my God. Oh, I think the Botox has infected her brain. I think her synapses are also frozen in place, just like her fucking cheeks are. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you?
Impeding law enforcement operations. Please? That family would have never been in that situation if those protesters had been acting peacefully and law enforcement was able to do their job without being threatened.
They should never have a moment of peace. Kristi Noem, first of all, she should be in prison. Second of all, short of that, she should not be able to go anywhere ever again, ever, without 1,000 people protesting her.
So it's a terrible situation that family had to go through.
Go ahead.
First and foremost, people have commented on how this man has been debunked, this YouTube fake news anchor. It's sad that people are digesting this junk. There is no way in hell on God's green earth in America that 5-year-old children should be outdoors past curfew in Minnesota. If there is not a curfew in Minnesota going on, that's on Tim Walz. He's allowing that. You take that up with your governor out there. That has nothing to do with Trump. President Trump is doing a damn good job, if I do say so myself. Also, know for certain that Tim Walz and Minnesota, they're being ran by the DSA. That's the Democratic Socialist of America. They're running things.
Through, and I hope it never happens again, but we need to remember that because the mayor and the governor have allowed this kind of violence to be perpetuated across Minneapolis is why there's other innocent people that are impacted throughout the city, but throughout their state as well.
Oh, was it the protesters who were tear gassing people? Is that what happened? Well, that's right. You're a lying scumbag.
And it doesn't have to be this
doesn't
way. They
seem
could establish
targeted.
a peaceful protest zone. They could enforce their laws. And if Governor Walz didn't recognize that what he is doing there is poor leadership, he wouldn't have put his National Guard on standby in order to.
This is why I'm so furious. Is like, look, she's blaming what's his name, Jacob Frey and Tim Walz, and the fact of the matter is, both of them, like Jacob Frey came out and said, "Get the fuck out of my city, ICE," and then he said, well, yeah, I'm not actually going to order the police to arrest ICE agents when they commit crimes because they have more people and bigger guns. So, like,
now he's contradicting himself.
Tim Walz goes, I'm going to get the National Guard ready. Okay. Doesn't say who for. Doesn't say, oh, I'm going to send them in to protect the protesters. The implication is I'm going to get the National Guard ready to, again, quell the protests when he calls on them to do that. So here you have two Democrats at the state level who are being immensely weak and who are cucking themselves to the regime. And what does the regime say back to them? They're the problem. Look at them. They're being radical. They're being extreme. They're taking the side of the protester. They have shown immense restraint. I would not be this restrained. I would have said arrest every single fucking ICE agent that commits a crime. The police need to arrest them because the law applies to everybody. So they're bending over backwards for the regime, and the regime still spits in their eye. What did you learn, Jacob? What did you learn, Tim? What did you learn here?
And I'm hopeful that he does recognize that he needs to start working with us.
Are your agents going to comply
I know the
with
White House has asked him to.
Incredible. We're a long way from a civil war, says Robert Pape, but the Minnesota National Guard is now wearing bright green vests to distinguish from other agencies. This is now us versus them combat forces. Trump is taking the U.S. to a very dark place. Crucial that the Minnesota Guard and ICE do not clash. There's no way around. If the law were being enforced, ICE would be everybody's villain. From the National Guard to the police in Minnesota to any other agencies there that actually give a shit about following the law and having checks and balances and having a constitution, everybody would be targeting ICE directly, mass arresting them for their endless crimes, their endless violations of the Constitution. Ruben Gallego, who, by the way, is a very corporate Democrat.
I would like to pause it before this continues.
We cannot vote for...
Go ahead.
Proud Americans, know for certain if you are planning on going to college this year for the first time, you no longer have to just be unemployed as a college student, as a full-time college student. You can also do God's work by joining ICE. See, that's an infinite glitch right there, a loophole. You can just think about it. 4 years of college, all those
anything that actually adds more money,
all those student loans, you could pay off your debt by working for ICE.
Wow.
Constrain ICE. We cannot keep funding this type of goon squad. That's exactly right. Good on him.
And you can get
this
those
guy's more of a centrist Democrat,
illegals off the campus
realizing
as well.
exactly what's going
at the
on
same
here.
damn
ICE and Border
time.
Patrol agents have actually fired their guns at people in their cars at least 14 times since July. But so far, none of the targets have been convicted, and none of the federal agents have been charged with the crime. We found no examples of those agents being put on administrative leave or subjected to any internal discipline. That's what we're dealing with here. A totally rogue agency. Apparently, ICE just announced the 6th confirmed death of 2026. The 6th confirmed death. We are 19 days in to this year. There's 6 people dead. That's insane. In total, in Trump's regime, about 40 people have died in ICE custody. Evidence of one of them even being lynched. Yes, lynched. Hands tied, feet tied, found hanging in a cell. The second we saw that, they should have been abolished. By the way, I was reminded of a case I had forgotten about. ICE was literally sued for doing slavery. I'm not kidding. ICE was literally sued for doing slavery at one of their facilities.
This is disgusting.
Never mind the lawsuits over the consistent, perpetual sexual assault that's happened at their facilities. This is what we're dealing with, y'all. Breaking: Native American citizens are being detained by ICE and sent to a camp, Fort Snelling, a former Native American concentration camp where Native women, children, and elders were once imprisoned in brutal conditions, where many died from disease, starvation, and exposure. The reason the Trump administration reportedly wants ICE to be able to operate on Native American lands, they're using this as a means to extort the tribes into cooperating. Sending Native people back to a former concentration camp isn't just cruel, it's a moral failure and unforgettable history repeating itself. By the way, this goes to show you that everything they stand for is a farce. A farce. Like, oh, we're only going to go after criminals. We're only going after undocumented immigrants who are also criminals. These people are literally more American than most Americans. Let's be serious. They were here first. They're the indigenous Americans. They're the Native Americans. This was their land before it was our land.
No, they're
right?
not.
And you're rounding
Those
them
are
up.
fake $2
Immigration
Indians.
is rounding them up. That is not even close to legal. Not remotely legal. What are we doing here, man? What are we doing here? Oh my God. And then you got this video. This one is chilling. Listen to this back and forth. This is as dark as it gets.
Why are you asking me for my paperwork? Because of your accent. You have an accent too. Where were you born, sir? Where were you born at? Put your hands behind your back.
Ramon Monero. Incredible. Incredible. So you have a minority ICE agent with an accent saying, you have an accent. Where are your papers? Homie, you think you're on the team? You think you're on the team. There's going to come a time where you're not on the job and they're going to fucking arrest your ass. In fact, there's already speculation that that's happened. There's been a rumor on TikTok that there was a Hispanic ICE agent who was off duty who was arrested. Now, I don't know if that instance is true because I haven't seen any other reporting on it. But if it hasn't happened already, it's going to happen at some point. Literally, where are your papers? And the person saying, where are your papers, has a fucking accent. I can't, bro. This is like Nick Fuentes, right? Fucking gay twink Mexican who's like, I'm a white supremacist. Hitler would fry your ass and then laugh about it, bro, and go have some bratwurst. What is wrong with you people? Oh my God. ICE detains father, leaves a 6-year-old daughter home alone. Holy cow.
He was taken. A lot of people were taken.
Including, they say, the father of a 6-year-old girl. The child left alone on the street until adults who saw her stepped in.
My sister said, do you need any help?
So this is the ICE person. ICE took her father, and so the child was left alone. Someone asked me to speak about Sasha Barrows Riley, referred to as Sasha Barrows or William Sasha Riley, is a decorated Iraq war veteran who gained significant public attention in January 2026 for coming forward with a detailed allegations of being a survivor of child trafficking abuse. In early 2026, extensive hour-long audio recordings and interviews featuring Riley began circulating online detailing his experiences. Riley alleges he was adopted in the late 1970s with the intent of being trafficked, claiming his adopted father was a pilot involved in transporting victims. In this testimony, Riley alleges he was trafficked within networks connected to high-profile figures, including Jeffrey Epstein. So we're going into like Jeffrey Epstein. That's not the conversation here, but you asked me to speak about it, and there you go.
I also want to point out that these reservations, these so-called Native American reservations, they've been used for border crossings, especially when the ice freezes over these Great Lake areas. So these illegals can come from Canada and cross over these lake areas where these fake Native American reservations are, and they've been usurping, undercutting.
So are you
saying for the longest?
That came over the Bering Strait.
No, you're not hearing what I'm saying.
You're saying fake Native American reservations.
Yes.
You're saying these are fake Native Americans. So
yes, they are.
These Asians that supposedly came over the Bering Strait.
I never said they're Asians. They're fake Native Americans.
No. All right. So if they came over the Bering Strait in the early, because I mean, I've grown up about learning.
Listen, this is 2026, all right? And these people are fake. They took the doll's role. They paid paperwork. These are fake Native Americans.
No, there's
They've been getting no.
There are people that are not fake. There were actual people that were Asian.
They are fake.
Okay.
These are fake Native Americans. We're not talking about from thousands of years ago. You know, these are fake Native Americans.
Well, can you show me the where
Everyone knows this. This is why they're getting taken out right now.
Where's the source? Where's your source?
More and more of these fake Native Americans are going to be. I'm not sourcing up. You can look into yourself.
No, you're saying stuff. Well, then stop saying stuff on my panel.
I'm going to continue. They're fake.
Well, you can't say that something is fake if you don't have the source of it and where it's fake.
I've said it.
Okay, so where is it? Fake at where?
If you're conflicted about it, then fine. They're fake. And they're fake.
That's hearsay. That's hearsay. I can't, if you can't tell me and show me the documentation of where they're fake at, because all Native Americans that say that they are like that have that Asian background are not all fake. They're not all fake. They're all Native on the reservation.
They're fake as hell.
They're not all fake, sir.
Okay, let's see how this protects them now.
Let's
watch how the myth. Watch how this myth gets dispelled.
They kick you out. So okay, ICE grabs them. Where do they go? What country?
They go straight to prison for faking and for tax evasions, all that stuff that they're going straight to prison.
You don't even have an actual place. So you're just
going straight to prison.
At this point, you're just fucking trolling, because why would you say that? If you're saying something is fake, you can't show any just pearly things. You sound just like just pearly things, right? You're saying that something is something, and then you don't have anything to back it up with. Just like Anna said, just show me the documentation that where they're fake at. And when I ask you where they're fake at, all you have to do is keep repeating it. They're fake. They're fake. They're gonna go. And I said, okay, well, where do they go to then? If they're fake, right? So they go back over the Bering Strait over to China, or wherever the Bering Strait is, or they go to that Mongolia. Like what? Fake based on what? How do we know they're fake? Is there a DNA test? What? So you're just saying they're fake, but you have no documentation, nothing to say that they're fake. This is the thing. Just as much as we can say that they're fake, they can say, well, guess what? You guys were not from here either. And guess what? We was not here from either. So guess what? Who was here? Who knows? My thing is that I don't know. I'm not old enough. I am not from that era in time. So I can't be pointing no finger at nobody. Yes, we know about the Choctaw. We know about the other Native Americans. But there was definitely Native Americans that came from Asia, just as much as there was Native Americans that came over from Africa. There's no such thing as one thing is fake and the other thing is real. People migrated, from different countries and different places, including the white person right now that is saying and claiming that everybody else is illegal. So so this whole fake claim is ridiculous. Let me play the rest of this.
My dad was taken. Her dad was taken by immigration, and they left the little girl by herself. She was stranded. They took the dad and left the little girl. That was horrible for her to see that.
In the middle of the target zone sits St. Margaret Catholic.
All right, so we're cool with ICE taking the father, leaving the child in the middle of the street. Just like they're leaving cars in the middle of the street.
God's work.
They're grabbing people out their cars, and then the person ain't even put their car in park yet. Car running down the street, crashing into shit. Is this what we do? This is training? This is what we do? This is ICE? That's God work to be that sloppy? That's sloppy work.
Church, where that Sunday, the priests during a packed mass were warned of the raid happening at that moment and did what they could to protect those in their congregation.
The majority of our parishioners has papers. We have followed every legal steps. We have come to this country in the legal way, but we are afraid. We are afraid to be picked up, taken away, and being mistreated. And that's what is going on in our minds. And this is not only in our minds, but this is what is going on in this community.
Judy Ashworth has lived in Morristown for decades.
This whole ICE business, it's so cruel, I think, so sadistic, and so scary. What is happening? It's terrifying. I think it's terrifying. You know, they're masked up, they have guns, they're not afraid to use them. It's horrifying. And it really is very reminiscent of what happened in Nazi Germany.
Guys, you think that woman's a fan of me? Right? You think she watches this show? No, this is somebody who's probably relatively apolitical, who's looking around going, what the fuck has happened to us? That's who that is.
And those two women that we spoke to said that they cut their power walk short today because they realized that one of them forgot to bring along her U.S. passport. They said,
oh my God, bro. Oh my God, bro. Jesus Christ. So this is crazy. Listen to this. This is from an ABC News article. They say thousands of people have been arrested during ICE operations in Minnesota over the past 2 weeks. Multiple attorneys allege that for some of those detained, including at least one U.S. citizen, DHS is denying their constitutional right to see an attorney. And this is from the article. One ICE agent said, if we let you see your clients, we would have to let all the attorneys see their clients. And imagine the chaos, said another attorney who asked not to be named. And I said to that person, yeah, you do have to let all the attorneys see their clients. You do have to accommodate that. That's the Constitution. You chose to put them here. I didn't bring this guy here. You did. So now you have fucking ICE Gestapo thugs don't know the most basic shit about the way this country works. They would fail a fucking middle school civics class. That's what we're learning. They're like, can you believe I got to let this guy see an attorney? What? Like, yeah, asshole. Everybody knows that. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Look at this. This is from Status Coup. Shout out to Status Coup. Everybody go subscribe to their channel. They're doing a bunch of amazing on-the-ground reporting over there. You don't want to miss a second of it. But listen to this. ICE caught red-handed, flat-out lying about somebody assaulting them when they're the ones that assaulted the citizen first. Here we go.
Hey, it's Jordan with Status Coup. Delighted to be joined by Lalo Rios Meza. DHS claims they arrested you because you hit the officer. Mm-hmm. Here is the first video I want to show of you supposedly hitting an officer.
Knowing people hate you. You know people hate you.
Look at that.
Why did he
comply? Just comply.
No, he wasn't doing nothing. And then you have 5 and 6 people. You sound crazy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
See? Why isn't he resisting?
He clearly gets assaulted by the ICE goon. Clearly. All right, how about this one? If this doesn't sum up perfectly the state of the country right now, look at this. So you have a totally peaceful protester in a goofy outfit, and watch what happens. The fact that anybody bothers to argue and say, like, no, these ICE thugs are not looking for trouble. They're not fascists. They're not goons. They're not thugs. They're not criminals. They're not looking for trouble. Well, what the fuck is this? Right? The textbook definition of a peaceful protester, being silly with it too and wearing like a fucking fox mask or some shit. And you guys come in and tackle them. What is this? They're trying to hit their quota. They're trying to hit their quota of arrests because they get more money. They get better benefits. They get rewards if they do that. Then we got to talk about this. So there's this guy by the name of Jake Lang. And he was a January 6ther. He's a criminal and he's a Nazi. Okay. And he planned in Minnesota to burn a bunch of Qurans at a government building, I believe. So just to set the table for you, this is who this guy is. Ready? Listen to this. Right-wing agitator. Right-wing criminal agitator.
Honestly, if I catch a Muslim that's coming at me and blow his head off outside my home and I get it on video, it'll be the most viral video of all time. Jake Lang blows the head off of a Muslim trying to jihad him. Watch it in slow motion 4K from a Ring doorbell. Pretty cool. So, you know, I mean, hey.
Don't threaten you with a good time.
Don't threaten you with a good time. Yeah. If I get the opportunity to to slay one of these disgusting animals that's trying to threaten me and my country and my family, don't threaten me with a good time, right?
Openly discussing murdering Muslims, laughing about it, having a good time. Here's another example of who this guy is. This one's from a week or two ago. Watch this.
You whatever a Nazi isn't, then I'm a Nazi, bitch.
Shut the fuck.
If you whatever a Nazi isn't, then I'm a Nazi, bitch.
Shut the fuck.
There you go. Proudly proclaiming that he's a Nazi. Well, this man decided to do a little thing called fucking around and finding out. Look what happened.
Ah, Jake, you thought it was a good idea, didn't you? Ah, Jake, you thought this was a good idea, didn't you?
So how did his little Quran burning exercise go? I don't know, because it appears like there's this massive crowd of protesters, and he got caught up in all of that. That appears to be what happened. How about this? You ready for a twist of irony? Ryan Allen points out Jake Lang and his crew showed up in Minneapolis trying to march into a Somali neighborhood, screaming that natural-born citizens should be deported to preserve the white race. So really letting that Nazi freak flag fly, isn't he? Talking about blowing Muslims' heads clear off their shoulder by shooting them in the face on video, talking about doing a Nazi salute and saying he's a Nazi, saying that we should deport American citizens to preserve the white race, goes around doing all of that, literally begging and pleading to get his motherfucking ass beat. That's what he's doing. He's begging and pleading to get his motherfucking ass beat, right? Well, guess what? Maybe he bit off a little more than he can chew. And so he got this giant crowd of protesters that shows up. And you ready for the irony of this? You know who ends up saving him from the crowd? A black man.
When you get a moment, could you pause it for me?
Go ahead.
Yes. First of all, the man in the high castle has observed, and Jake Lane was rescued by a member of the American Society of Magical Negroes. The American Society of Magical Negroes is not just a movie that was made in 2024. This is a real thing. And this is what we're seeing right here. The American Society of Magical Negroes rescuing a hardcore white supremacist.
So it was a black man who protected him from an angry mob. Now, by the way, I just want to set the table for you as to who this guy is. You already know some of it. Here he is on January 6th, assaulting officers. You can see him there. On January 6th, you see all these cops trying to block this entrance. He climbs up on top of their shields, and he punches in the face one of the officers. So he's one of the vile, wretched, repulsive, disgusting, fascist cretins who assaulted law enforcement on January 6th. That's who this man is. And you have these right-wing assholes who are trying to pretend like he's some big victim. Tommy Robinson says, independent journalist Jake Lang, who spent years in jail as a January 6th political prisoner. No, a political prisoner is fucking James Comey. That's who a political prisoner is. Letitia James. Okay? Today he was almost lynched in Minneapolis and not one police officer in sight. Disgraceful scenes coming out of the state of Minnesota of late. So not only was he saved by a black person, which none of these people will acknowledge on the right because they're disgusting liars, but also, and we don't need to play the whole video here, but not only was neo-Nazi Jake Lang protected by a black man, but he was also picked up by a trans woman. He's only alive thanks to the kindness of the very people he seeks to destroy. So he's running away from the mob of people, and there's a car. He opens the door and he begs to get in. There's two people in the car, and they let him in, right? They didn't know who he was. They just thought, in their thought process, they thought, there's got to be ICE is coming after one of the protesters. We want to protect this person from ICE. So they go, sure, come in. And then, you know, like they start almost hitting the car. So it's a very tense situation. And then they pull out and they end up saving this guy, Jake Lang. So he was protected by a black man and also protected by who wound up being in the car. One of the people was a trans woman. Okay. So just amazing the way in which, you know, the universe came together to yet again, in such a clear cut and cosmic way, debunk Nazism and white supremacy and right wing bullshit. Saved by a black man and a trans woman. And I'm sure he's going to wake up tomorrow and go right back to hating all of those groups and trying to make their lives a living hell. Why? Because he's a criminal, fascist, Nazi piece of shit. That's what he is. But that's what's going on the ground there now. It is out of control, bro. And it's out of control directly because of the ICE Gestapo thugs. And don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time.
Shouts out to it's called Secular Talk. And I actually like his channel because he gives a really good standpoint on some of this stuff. You know, it's one thing to sit up here and pretend like this whole thing is cool, one-sided news. Yes. Well, guess what? I got a person over here. That's why I haven't taken them down, because we got people over here that love it and love it. Okay, well, you got your representative up here saying that, oh, this is cool. I like it. Ooh, ooh. All right, so I'm gonna show the other side then. You got him up here talking about the bull stuff, what y'all like, and then I got my side talking about what's really going on. And then he gives this shit about it, and I get to like play the other side. Because I don't agree with that bullshit. I don't agree with it. I think it's wrong. See,
I would like to introduce.
This is y'all little boy that y'all love. This is like all y'all white supremacists. This is y'all black man. The black man in the high castle that agrees with all that white rhetoric and all that is on y'all side. So everybody, here's your guy. He loves it.
First and foremost, would I be able to speak?
Put a one in the chat. You love it. He love it. He voted for it. So there's your boy right here. Your boy sitting up on the panel that's agreeing with all y'all that's Trump supporters. That okay, you got your boy up here, right?
Would I be able to speak?
Representative, when I'm done, you got your representative up here. If you want to say something, come up here, okay? So y'all got y'all boy, but I'm gonna play the other side. I'm not gonna, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna sit up here and just play his side and have him taking my whole audience into a Trump bullshit ass wormhole. It's gonna be okay. Well, he gonna say it's great, everything this and everything's great. It's all fake news and all the stuff, all that rhetoric, and it's the left and the Democrats are doing it all. It's all this. Okay, well, guess what? When he get done, I'm gonna play the other side. That's what I'm doing. So that's my standpoint on the whole thing. So go ahead, say what you gotta say.
Thank you very much, DJ Genesis. Tonight's program, or this morning's program, is excellent. I do agree. If I could say so myself, it is an excellent program. Everybody who is in the live chat, I see that we have triple digits in the live chat. However, the ratio between the live chat and the likes, let's get those likes up. Hit the share and subscribe button, the notification bell. The man in the high castle is definitely 100% Trump administration supporter and advocate.
Are you a black man? Are you an FBA? Yes or no? Because people are asking, is a black man doing this?
I don't see that in comment. Where's the comment? Could you pull that up? Oh, I see it right there. I see it right there. Dante, yes, I am a proud American, first and foremost, and my lineage is foundational. My race is black, and my ethnicity is American. Thank you, and I'm proud.
All right, so let's go into it. So now he's going to go into Joe Rogan and his.
I'm a hard-boiled delineationist, meaning I don't play around with the delineation. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Hard-boiled delineationist.
Everybody online posting a clip of Joe Rogan saying some somewhat critical things of ICE and the shooting and the murder that they just did in Minneapolis. But I wanted to see his full commentary on the issue to see if it's any different. So let's take a look and we'll break it down here. Let's get it.
But it's also very ugly to watch someone shoot a U.S. citizen, especially a woman, in the face.
Right.
Where it's like, I'm not that guy. I don't know what he thought. And again, this is a guy who'd almost been run over. But it just
that's not true. So what happened was in the past, Jonathan Ross, the ICE thug, broke a back window.
American is also an ethnicity. You can Google it yourself.
He got dragged a little bit as the guy drove away. Don't make it seem like innocent little Jonathan Ross was standing in front and somebody gunned it at him. That didn't happen. So it was a lie back then, and it's a lie with this new case where they lie and say, oh, he was about to get hit by the car. He wasn't. That's not true. So here we go.
Horrific to me. I mean, when people say it's justifiable because the car hit him, it seemed like she was kind of turning the car away. It seemed like she was out of her fucking mind to begin with. That lady seemed crazy.
You see how he's waffling? Honestly, bro, and this is the craziest part. This is the best you're going to get from Joe Rogan in the year of our Lord 2026. The best you're going to get. I don't think she was trying to kill him, but she was crazy, obviously. Really? So now we're going to character assassinate a 37-year-old woman who was shot in the face 3 times and murdered when she didn't do anything wrong? Is that what we're going to do? Now it's a crime to disagree with ICE. Now it's a crime that her wife decided to speak up and say something to the ICE thugs who shouldn't even be in Minneapolis. That's a crime. She's crazy. Oh my God, man. God, he's so washed.
It seemed like she was out of her fucking mind to begin with. That lady seemed crazy, right? And didn't she move there specifically to get involved in all this?
I think that the Joe Rogan of 10 years ago would have had a totally different take on this. I think that the Joe Rogan of 2016 would have said, this is murder. ICE is an occupying army. They're going after innocent people and ruining their lives. I've seen dozens and dozens of videos on social media of innocent people getting assaulted. There was that video of a woman driving to the doctor's office and the ICE thugs rip her out of the car and assault her. They tackled some 17-year-old who worked at Target and gave him a black eye and dragged him off. There's video of people who are American citizens. They say they're American citizens. They could prove they're American citizens, and ICE still goes after them. The Joe Rogan of 10 years ago would have taken one look at this and said, this is totally inexcusable, and the government needs to pull out immediately, and they should issue an apology, and you should arrest Jonathan Ross. Jonathan Ross, the ICE thug, is still free, and the government is saying he has absolute immunity. So, okay, guys, stop and think about how insane that is. This country is supposed to be like nobody's above the law. That's the country. Now he has absolute immunity. Well, by that logic, they can literally grate people, right? If the immunity is absolute, you can do whatever you want, right? And he's not contending with any of this. He goes, well, kind of, sort. I mean, yeah, I guess. It doesn't look like she was trying to hurt him, but she is crazy. She is crazy. Enough with what did I always tell you? And it's true about Joe Rogan. It's true about Tim Dillon. It's true about all the people in the Rogan sphere. The best you're ever going to get from them is both sides bullshit. The best you're ever going to get from them is false equivalence nonsense. And there's a reason for that, because now they're part of the in-group. Now he's buddy-buddy with Elon Musk. He's buddy-buddy with JD Vance. He's buddy-buddy with Donald Trump. I think he texts with the president of the United States. He talked about that the other day on his show. So when you're that close with them, when you're in the in-group, you will always steel man the shit out of whatever it is they do, even if it's ridiculous, even if it's preposterous, even if it makes no sense, because you don't want to think of yourself as being an evil guy hanging out with evil people. And so that's where we are. So this is the best that you're going to get.
Horrific to me. I mean, when people say it's justifiable because the car hit him, it seemed like she was kind of turning the car away. It seemed like she was out of her fucking mind to begin with. That lady seemed crazy, right?
So the murderer wasn't out of his mind. The victim was out of her mind.
Didn't she move there specifically to get involved in all this?
Yeah, I don't know.
She didn't seem mentally healthy, but does that mean she should be shot in the head? Is there no other way to handle this? And then you got these people that are showing up at these ICE people and they're blocking traffic. She was one of them that was doing those kind of things where they think they're an activist and they're an agitator.
Right.
No, wait. You have a right to protest in this country. You have a right to protest. And
could you put it on pause 1 second?
Protesters block traffic. They're blocking the ICE thugs from carrying out their illegal orders. That's what they're doing. That is good. That is them being on the side of the law and ICE being against the law.
Back to my initial sort of argument about having local police.
Go ahead.
First and foremost, I would love to mention, it's not that I forgot, I love to mention first and foremost that the man in the high castle is a devout Christian. And I support the men and women in uniform as well. However, most importantly, that's surface level type of stuff. At the end of the day, I'm here on planet Earth just like the rest of y'all. But my concerns on a political level is this. I, the man in the high castle, have been privileged to see the footage in alternative meta history, where the Democrats, where they do regain control and momentum, and they rescind the past administration's legislation and bring back the illegal immigrants and give them reparations. Do note, there is also an alternative. Keep voting red. Do not allow these far left radicals to gain momentum. Get your food and goodies. They're going to shut down the government. They don't play nice. Neither do delineationists like myself.
Do it. They're not doing it. But in an ideal world, the way we fix this and have less ICE agents in cities where they're having a very difficult job is the local people do their job and they're not sanctuary cities.
Well, how could you stop sanctuary cities?
Well, aren't you supposed to be a fucking libertarian? Isn't Rand Paul supposed to be a libertarian? And he's got this like crackdown on immigration type fucking approach. What are you talking about? There's an actual reason for sanctuary cities. If people are undocumented and they're in this country and you witness a crime firsthand, if you're undocumented, you're going to go, why would I call the cops? Because I need to get my information and I might get deported because I saw a crime, right? The whole point of a sanctuary city is like, if you're undocumented and you see a crime, you can call us and let us know about that crime so we can arrest the bad guys. And don't worry, your identity is protected. We won't deport you because you were a good Samaritan and you told the truth. But of course, they don't even think about these things. They don't care because illegal immigrant equals bad in their minds. It's so fucking childish. I'm so over it. And now the American people are too, because support for immigration in this country is absolutely skyrocketing.
And what I'm saying is that some of the blame for ICE being there is the left and their policies of sanctuary cities.
Right.
So
can you stop with this? I'm so sick of this bullshit, which has been on the internet nonstop for the past however many years of like, no matter what happens, magic trick, it's actually the left that's the problem. Even when now you got these fucking disgusting fascists rampaging through cities and the left are the only people that are doing something about it. Somehow we're still the problem.
Just say, oh, we hate ICE and we don't want ICE in our city. Maybe they should be reflecting that ICE is in your city because you're disobeying the law. And when someone is arrested.
But that's not true. They're not going after criminals. They're not going after people who are breaking the law. They are the criminals in many respects. They're going after innocent people. That's been proven time and time again. They send people to fucking CCOT. A fucking torture dungeon, a concentration camp. How do you not see the problem here?
And they're clearly not a citizen. You're not reporting them to ICE. See, it's defiance. It's nullification. They've been nullifying our laws on deportation for years and years. And so now they have something they really dislike. But who brought it upon? My point is the left brought this. It's not an answer, but it's an explanation that the left is bringing this to their cities because they're refusing to enforce the laws.
Right. And they don't want the.
See, here's the thing is that everybody wants to blame it on the left all the time. And there's no such thing as this whole like left evil group of people. It's ridiculous.
Those laws, they don't like those laws.
I love how everybody acknowledged that Barack Obama was called the deporter in chief, but now it's like, oh, the left is so across the board anti immigration enforcement that they didn't let us do anything, and that's why now fascists are marauding through the country. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm sorry, the Democratic Party has not in any way, shape, or form been really to the left on immigration. They haven't. But what we're looking at now is no rules, no regulations, no framework whatsoever. Just give the biggest sociopaths in the country a gun and a badge and have them go assault soccer moms. That's what we're looking at now.
They think that once people are here, they should be able to stay. And, this is what my friend Gad Saad calls suicidal empathy.
Yep.
And I think
it's amazing. The fact that he thinks that's intelligent says everything about how Joe Rogan has Gen X led brain. Suicidal empathy. Oh my God. Elon Musk says this shit too. By the way, it's oftentimes the same people who consider themselves Christian and they have like Christian shit in their bio on Twitter. And then they're talking about, I love it when people get pepper sprayed in the face. Suicidal empathy is going to kill us. Yeah, it sounds just like Jesus. Exactly what Jesus would say, right?
There's a balance to be achieved. I just don't know how it gets done because I see both perspectives. I see the perspective of the people that say, hey, there was an illegal program moving people in here to get votes.
Completely and utterly made up. Completely and Alex Jones nonsense. Horse shit. You can't vote. If you're an undocumented immigrant, you can't vote. It's not true.
And that's, I wanted to get to that. All this fake ass that they're doing this, these immigrants are doing that. They have like the free money. They're doing this, but it's like no, like all this stuff is conspiracy theory nonsense. Okay.
How do they get licenses? How do they get social security numbers?
They have to go through the process. It's not free. It's not like a fake thing.
So they can vote. They can also vote.
No, just because you have a license does not mean you can vote.
Yes, they are voting illegally.
Do ex-convicts have licenses?
Yes, they have licenses.
Do you know that certain ex-convicts can't vote?
Certain.
Right, just because you have a license, it doesn't mean you can vote. So that's like
No,
not even.
These illegal immigrants are voting, and they also get income tax returns as well.
Show me proof, because you're just saying.
ITIN, which is an individual tax income.
You're just saying that. You're just
No, this is the truth. I demand the High Castle don't need to lie or spin stories.
You're not okay. Well, give me a stat on how many illegal immigrants got an ITIN and voted last year.
It's not about stats; it's what they're able to do.
Oh no, it's about stats, because you're saying this. You should have an actual demonstrated situation where this happened and the amount of people that this happened with, and then we could actually probably even prove, because a lot of those voted for Donald Trump, that these are the people that actually rigged the election, because a lot of them voted for Trump. So I don't know.
Yes, they did as well.
So it's the guy you supported who literally tried to steal the 2020
taxes.
election and did the fake elector slate. Somehow you can support that guy who openly tried to steal an election, but now your conspiracy is the left is doing something through immigration to try to steal elections, even though they're not.
Moving people in here to get congressional seats, and we've got to change that. We've got to take those people that got in and send them back to where they came from, or do something, because if we don't, they're going to keep doing it if they get in office again in 2028, and it's going to accelerate. And you're going to have to take away some of the damage that's been done to a true democratic system, because you've kind of hijacked it, and they kind of have.
He's so deep in that right-wing bubble. He thought he just freaked it. He thought what he just said was nuanced and intelligent. Meanwhile, the whole fucking premise is wrong. He has no idea what the fuck he's talking about.
They'll say, yeah, but you don't want militarized people in the streets just roaming around, snatching people up, many of which turn out to actually be U.S. citizens. They just don't have their papers on them. Are we really going to be the Gestapo? Where's your papers? Is that what we've come to? So it's more complicated than I think people want to admit.
No, it is not complicated. It's not even close to complicated. That second thing you said was correct. We're dealing with a rogue agency that does mass kidnappings and abductions, and they do human trafficking. They don't abide by due process. They've killed over 30 people just in Trump's second term. There are literal criminals joining this group. They're assaulting 84-year-old married couples, and they're shooting priests in the face with pepper balls, and they're tear gassing babies and journalists and cops, and they're zip tying naked kids and throwing them in the back of a U-Haul van at 2:00 in the morning, and they're deporting people for having cologne and lying and saying it's drugs. They tackled a 79-year-old car wash owner and hospitalized him. They've raided schools and meatpacking facilities and farms. There's evidence they lynched a guy. Let me repeat that. There's evidence, Joe Rogan, that ICE lynched a guy. I'm so sick of fake nuance. That's what this is, fake nuance. Well, I don't know, man. I can kind of see the perspective of the people who lynched the guy and the perspective of the people who are against the lynching. Really? Really? That's what we're doing at this late date?
Notice how the fake media only shows black and brown faces when it comes to deportation.
Have you noticed that no matter what happened, you're focused on the fact that he's talking about left versus right politics, and now you have to try to change the thing
because he is left wing radical.
And you're right wing radical. So what?
Actually, I just voted for Trump.
You're right.
And I'm enthusiastic about America because I love it. Press a 1 in the chat if you love America like I do. The man in the high castle.
He is a right wing radical. If you guys have ever heard one, if he is sounding like one of them damn characters on the Boondocks, or the slave thing that sound like they are just all the way with the oppressor.
It's okay to love America and be proud of America and vote for Trump.
I'm talking about the fact that what you're saying is that everything is all about left and right and not about just human decency.
American citizen with cancer. Tell me about your nuance. Whenever I see a 4-year-old American citizen deported when they have cancer, my first thought is, what are both sides of this? I'd like to hear the counter argument to my take of that's bad. I can't, man. I can't. I'm so sick of this fucking. I told you. I was more right than even I realized. With Joe Rogan, with Tim Dillon, with Andrew Schultz, with all these guys. When MAGA becomes more and more and more and more untenable, what they'll do is just
100. I know you love America.
And false equivalence. They all suck. They're all bad. Right? That's what you retreat to. But again, that's bullshit, and that's lack of accountability.
See, here's the thing. He likes to move the goalposts on whether or not you love America. Just because you love America does not mean that you cannot. I love America too. It does not mean that I have to believe that we should be doing this type of things within the country. Loving America does not mean to follow blindly. What are we talking about? America is supposed to be the land of the free, home of the brave, not the land of the followers and home of the cult like mentality. You should be able to like be free, right? Mentally free, you know, Constitution, all this stuff. So
I agree with you saying we should be free.
hold on. When you say, "Do you love America?" What the hell? What do you mean on my channel about asking this question? So you think that because I'm saying that all this stuff is egregious, that I don't love America? I don't know. I understand what. So why would you ask that question? The real question is do you love America in the current situation it's in right now? Is this America or is this a situation within America that needs to be rectified in a better way than what's going on?
That's a great question, DJ Genesis.
Loving America has nothing to do with agreeing with how it's being run at the moment.
May I add on, ma'am? Okay, thank you. You asked a great question about do you the way you phrase it. The question should be, do you love America during this current situation? And I, the man in a high castle, and I'm pretty sure those in a live chat can say, yes, we love the way it's going right now. Gradually, more and more things will get better and better. However, under the previous administration, the old Biden-Harris administration, Baltazar Kamami, yes, and Vice President Kamami Harris, did us disservice.
Somebody hit the link, please, because I like listen. Because I mean, to me, like I get it. Like it's about everything is always about the left versus right. And my thing is that this is way bigger than left versus right. And the people that only want to focus on that are just short-sighted. They don't understand anything beyond their indoctrination of what they think America is. They think America is only just left versus right, not people and human beings that are like running this entire country. You know,
they're usurping the 14th Amendment to stay over here. Those days are done. Also, could you imagine 2026 Kamala's country where we would be at? Oh hell no! I'm voted for Trump.
Okay, well that does not mean that a person that didn't is any less American. What American has is due process. Let's go.
And the fact of the matter is,
do you love America?
The fact of the matter is, it is.
I already said I did. What I'm saying is that America.
I know you do.
The America of due process. I love America that we're like that. You have a choice. It's not about what you're talking about. Is you want to take away the choice of people. You want an America that doesn't look anything like the America that we know. So, what part of America is it that everyone is a follower and has no ability to think past the current regime or the current thing and is unable to have freedom of speech, freedom of thought, freedom of this, which is like the whole thing of the Constitution. If you really love America, you love the Constitution, and the Constitution has those freedoms to be able to express that. If you don't feel happy with what's going on, then that's a part of America too. What you don't want America. You want fascism. You want people to be able to say you can't speak unless you love America in a certain way. You only think of loving America is if you agree with how it is, maintain the status quo.
How are you trying to say what I want?
No, because everything that all your rhetoric is not about loving America. When it comes down to how the Constitution is laid out, you're talking about loving America only if they agree with what's going on right now in this current situation. Because every time I talk about where people are exercising right now, this guy, freedom of speech. Oh no, he's a leftist. He's a Democrat. Well, guess what? In America, we have Democrats, we have Republicans. People have freedom of speech, the ability to speak on the other side of things. But you only talk about loving America when it applies to your rhetoric and how you feel things should be, and that is not how America runs. So let's
one side.
America's
that
bigger than a
fully
man in a high
turned this
castle.
ICE Gestapo thug regime into a fascist hellscape. Okay, I got criticisms of Democrats when it comes to immigration and other issues, but the idea that it's exactly equivalent is fucking nonsense. It wasn't Kamala Harris that bombed 30 fishing boats off the coast of the Caribbean, murdered innocent people. That wasn't Kamala Harris. It wasn't Kamala Harris that illegally kidnapped Nicolas Maduro. It wasn't Kamala Harris that illegally bombed Iran. It wasn't Kamala Harris that cut pediatric cancer research in Meals on Wheels. It wasn't Kamala Harris that fucking decided I'm going to invade the United States of America with the U.S. military. That wasn't Kamala Harris.
This is a black and white issue. If you're a compassionate person or if you're a pragmatic person, and I don't think that's true. I think it's both. I mean, after that woman was shot, I think unfortunately, well, everything's unfortunate about it, right? But one of the real problems is now ICE are villains, and now people are looking at them like murderous military people that are on the streets of our city.
Yeah, because they are that. It's not that, the perception is there, but it's untrue. No, the perception is there because it's true.
And they're masked up, which is also a problem, right? Because if you get arrested by a cop, you're allowed to ask the cop, what is your name and badge number? And you could film that cop. If you get arrested by an ICE agent, you have no such right. They're wearing a mask. They don't have to tell you shit. That's a problem. That's a problem on our city streets, right? Because you can also pretend to be an ICE agent.
Right.
So I saw this terrible story about this family that was killed where these guys pretended to be a UPS driver, and they showed up and they made their way into the house and killed people because they were dressed up as a UPS driver. If you could pretend to be a UPS driver, for sure, you could pretend to be an ICE agent.
It's amazing that he just thought of this. This just occurred to him.
And here's another thing, is that people keep saying the same stupid ass shit. Illegal aliens, first word illegal. Well, honey, if they were only arresting illegal aliens, they would be correct. But they're not. So shut up about that. They're arresting just people. They have a quota. They are just gathering up people and sorting it out as they go. And that's the part that is un-American. That is not American politics. That's not how America runs. And if you want America that goes like this, and that is crazy, I don't like that type of America. Whatever that's not even American, like the way that we normally do things. So let's go.
Already been like 6 or 7 different stories. 6, 7, sorry. My brain is destroyed from the kids. But there's already been a bunch of stories where this exact thing happened. People have pretended to be ICE agents, and there was even like a grape that happened when somebody was pretending to be an ICE agent. And by the way, the fact that these people can cover their faces, you are basically begging for this sort of crime to continue in perpetuity. So yes, I'm not buying it. They absolutely need to show their face. I'm not buying it. You should know their identities. We are their boss.
Okay, so it's not just a matter of America versus this. It's about a police force that's out here in the wild, face covered, no name on them. You don't even know if they really are ICE agents. Anybody could just put on an outfit that could find where they get their like uniforms from, throw a damn face mask on, and jump into the fight and pretend like they're ICE agents. And then when you actually get into the process of even becoming an ICE agent, some people say they took a 6-minute interview and then they were like accepted, 47-day training. So is this American? Is this how we do things? We just microwave solutions? I don't think that should be the American way. Is that if it is, we need to work on that. Let's go. Go ahead.
Would I be able to add on? Thank you,
ahead.
DJ Genesis. The man in the high castle is not flustered when he's speaking. And I hope things is well for you mutually. However, I was going to add on and say for certain, there was an invasion going on with illegal immigration, and the mass immigration was hurting the economy and America. Our school children, our American school pupils, students, many schools were shut down just to house illegal immigrants. Note for certain that with Kamala Harris, she was parading around and denying that there was an illegal immigration problem. So she lost. And this is the reaction of cleaning up house and getting the American affairs in order. We're trying to see who our allies truly are, who owes us money, country to country. Right now, Greenland is a promising prospect. And just imagine more resources coming to this country. America is the best place on earth. This is how come these illegals flee from their dilapidated homelands. They're not hardworking immigrants. They fled. They are scared to go back home and boss up on their own corrupt governments. However, they want to test Uncle Sam? That sounds bizarre.
We pay them. We pay them. They're representatives of the U.S. government. We are their boss. You can't like assault us and then say, I'm not showing you my identity. Fuck you. Fuck you. So we need that same level of accountability, man.
Especially since they're completely anonymous. So think about how many people can get arrested or robbed or
where are your Democratic leaders?
Because you can just have people pretending. They're like, it's not like it's impossible to fake their logo.
This has nothing to do with Democrat versus Republican. This is law enforcement versus the people. And the thing is that if you want a law enforcement state, honey, move to Russia or China. But I don't want to live in a state where it's law enforcement over human beings. You're saying it's about Democrat versus Republican? Well, guess what? So are you saying all those ICE agents are all Republican and that they're just controlling the Democrats? Is that what you're saying? It's the Democrat force of law enforcement versus the people of the Republican law enforcement of ICE versus the people, the Democrats that are fighting against ICE, that are the Republican law enforcement? Is that what you're saying? Is that what the fight is?
That's a great question, DJ Genesis.
Just law enforcement in general against the people and how they are enforcing the law and how they are coming into places and not just only focusing on the illegal immigrants, but also attacking regular citizens, attacking regular people that are just saying, like, listen, we don't want you kicking down doors. We don't want you disturbing our neighborhoods. That is not the American way. But go ahead, answer the question.
That's a very great question, DJ Genesis, if I do say so myself. You're on a roll tonight. The man in the high castle has left a link in the chat right there. And it's of the Democratic era of Bill Clinton with young Elian Gonzalez and Bill Clinton's administration. This is where they put Elian and his family right there. If you show it, you could see young Elian with the Democratic administration ICE agents right there. So yes, there are ICE agents who are Democrat. There are ICE agents who are Republican. There are ICE agents who are independent. There's ICE agents, though, overall, who love America, just like you and I in these live chats right now. Show those American flags for support and hit that like button.
All right, now I wanted to show. I'm sorry, I did get a super chat. I'm sorry, I didn't see it when it came up. Notice how the man speaks fast and frantic. The reason why I'm speaking fast and frantic, I have it sped up. Clear drug use implied. Most lefties are exhibited the same behavior. Leftists can't stay on topic, keep them talking, and they will tell on themselves. Well, sir, much love. Thank you for the super chat. However, the reason why it sounds like it's going fast is because I have the audio sped up. So that's the reason for that. But thank you for your super chat. Much love to Glor whatever that name. Glor. All right. So bottom line is that I'm just saying is that when you have a police force, okay, I think that we are. This is not the same thing as right versus left. It gets beyond right versus left in this situation. Go ahead.
Note for certain that ICE, that is a correction. Yes, ICE didn't exist during the Clinton administration. However, there is a picture of young Elian Gonzalez, and also why ICE has so much power is because of the Patriot Act. This is exactly what trampolined Department of Homeland Security. So
right, but what they're doing is they're using this federal law enforcement. Okay, let's not say police. Let's say law enforcement, right? Because it's the same law enforcement they used to actually go down into Venezuela. They consider that law enforcement. So what I'm saying is that they're using this law enforcement thing to go against the people of Minnesota. The people say they don't want you there. The law enforcement says, well, we're going to be here because we're trying to so-called gather up these immigrants. The people are saying, you know what? We don't need you to come here and do this. We don't want you banging down doors where you're disturbing our peace, all this other stuff. And then they'll tell them, well, no, you're disturbing the peace by stopping us from enacting this action of this immigration situation that they're doing, busting down doors, grabbing up people, asking people what their whatever is, and the next thing you know, you have people coming around, and then the people are considered now terrorists and leftists and Democrats and all this other crazy stuff. But in reality, it's really a thing that if you really look at it, it's the government against the people. Why is the government fighting the people?
who are the people out there in Minnesota that are fighting against the government?
Citizens of Minnesota. These are the citizens of Minnesota. Then you have the actual governor of Minnesota saying they had to create their own national guard to be able to like fight what ICE is doing. So now you have the federal government against the state government. Is this America? This is America right here. This is what you think that you voted for? No, that is not what you voted for. You voted
Yes, it is what I voted for.
Okay, if that's what you voted
to
for,
get rid of the radical left-wing stronghold.
Okay, so the radical left-wing stronghold. Okay, so you're saying Minnesota is the radical left-wing stronghold. It's not a state with its own laws. First of all, that is not American. What you're talking about is fascism.
Oh, right. It's pretty easy. Just as ICE. You know, how hard is that? You could easily imagine armed gangs pretending to be ICE agents robbing people.
Yeah, I think you could make an argument when you're working right along the border or at night with large groups that there's a lawlessness to the cartels that hiding the identities of ICE along the border. It's a little harder to make the argument. And I saw
these people. I swear to God, man, these fucking idiots. They think the real world is like a fucking Liam Neeson movie, right? He's going to save his daughter from the cartels. Like this is the
down
sort of
the
shit.
meth pipe
image in a courthouse in Chicago where it's a big elevator and the ICE agents all have masks on and they're arresting people and it's all women and children in a big elevator in a courthouse. It's like, really, I don't think you really need to be wearing a mask.
Well, they're worried about being doxxed, and you know, they're finding that happening.
But our local police have to do that, and they don't wear masks. You see what I mean? The local police go to the courthouse to arrest somebody, or on the bright lights of the city during the day.
But again, the local police have to state their name and badge number. The local police have always been here.
Right.
The ICE element is completely new.
Right. I'm saying,
or at least at this scale.
I'm saying that for most of the regular arrests, you probably don't need to have them wearing masks. That's what I'm saying.
The problem is once they don't wear a mask, then they're going to get doxxed, and people.
There is no doxing of a fucking federal agent. That's not a dox. That's just how it should be. We should know their names. Like I said, we pay them. We are their boss. They are beholden to us. To us. We have a right to know who they are. You have a right to know who just beat your fucking aunt's ass as she was trying to drive to her doctor's appointment in Minneapolis. You have a right to know that. So we can get justice. We can get accountability. We can make sure they get fired. We can make sure there are charges, right? None of this absolute immunity horse crap, which grants them the right to fucking grape if they want to grape people. How does he not see this?
People have actively doxed them and threatened their family.
It's not doxing. It's not doxing. And by the way, if you don't want negative consequences against them.
Bottom line is that there should be no law enforcement that can go into a place, bust down your door, and you don't know who they are. That is not American. That is nothing close to American. But then you will say it's not Gestapo. It's not slave catchers. Well, hell, even the slave catchers, even the Gestapo, you knew who they was. I don't think the Gestapo, they were just busting in faces shown. So I don't know what this is some other thing. They need to rename this into its own situation.
They're ICE stormtroopers, just like how in Star Wars there were stormtroopers. These are ICE stormtroopers doing God's work for the Republic.
There's no such thing as no God's work in hurting people. I don't know.
They're not hurting anyone. They're removing the.
They are hurting people. There was a baby that they threw a fucking a bomb underneath the thing, what's it called, a flash bomb, and the baby damn near died. So they are
fake
hurting
news.
people. They're slamming. It's not fake news. They're slamming people on the ground. They're hurting people. Everybody's injured when they get done. That is not. They're not doing. You're saying that's the work of God. What God do you believe in that believes in just slamming people to the ground and hurting them? And then you would say, "Oh, okay. Well, civil rights movement. You want to break that down in the civil rights, right? Well, the civil rights movement. Well, then that's the same God that. Okay. Well, they could have just said that this is that we deserve that when we were getting eaten up by German shepherds and all this other stuff, getting sicked on us, taking fire hoses and throwing water on us and all this other stuff. Very very harmful levels of water pressure on that fire hose. So we could say that it's okay to, even though we could say, okay, well, you know what, that might be their karma, right? Some people will say that that's their karma. But I'm saying is that if you serve God and you're saying this is a act of God, to me, I don't know. Like I mean, I know that there's some prejudice and some racism that goes on in the Mexican community, in these communities against Black Americans and Americans or whatever, so to speak. However, I don't think that everybody that's being attacked are the ones that are like that have enacted that. When you have a Black family going to a basketball game, coming out from the game, driving down the road and make a wrong turn, and then get flash bombed, and their child almost ends up dying. What act of God is that? So
that's a great question on the act of God. First and foremost, there was $19 billion in fraud in Minnesota. Know for sure that Governor Tim Walz.
You changed the subject. You changed the subject. I asked you about a family that is going to a basketball game. You said that this is about God. God is doing this. And I'm saying that when you have a family with 6 kids, Black family, FBA family, leaving a basketball game, and then their children end up in a freaking ice raid, get flash bombed, their kids end up choking. One child ends up 6 months old, ends up frothing at the mouth, losing its breath, damn near dying. What part of God is that an act of God? It's like, though, we can't, let's not throw God into this. This is not God. This is human beings acting on a thing from a higher up that telling them that has no connection to what human beings are doing and just calling the shots on something that they're not even connected to. And so if he was there on that thing and was there to feel it, but he never took a plane to Minnesota and walked through the crowd and really get to see what people are feeling. So it's a thing where it's one thing, like even us, when we're even watching this, we can like sit there and say, oh, okay, this is God's work. I believe in this, right? But unless you, and my thing is that I have empathy, but you have no empathy. You have no empathy for those kids. You have no empathy for the children and the people that are being sent into these places, very, very bad conditions. You know what I'm saying?
First and foremost, where are the hound dogs being released on?
I have empathy of people that are in over there in Louisiana, over there in Shreveport at that prison over there. I've interviewed people from that prison. What is it called? What is it called? They call it. It's one of the worst prisons over there. I've interviewed people from that prison over there in Louisiana. Angola. I've talked to people that have done been in the hole in Angola, where they had to, and then gone to camp something, whatever it is, where they have like and eaten like just very 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 deplorable conditions.
Are you making stuff up because you're stuttering a lot?
No, I'm not. I'm trying to remember everything, but it's late. Okay. I'm telling you that I have interviewed people that went to I think it's like Lake June or whatever, Lake something, whatever it is. I've talked to those people. I had them on my channel. I can show you the interviews with them. I have empathy about those things. So this is not just me only caring about people that are being put into places into very deplorable conditions for immigrants, but I've also talked to Black men that have been in very terrible conditions as prisoners in America. So
what's with this identity politics, though?
No, this is not just about me only talking about, because I want to be clear that I don't only just talk about immigrants and what they're going through. No, I'll talk to people on all different walks of life and things that they've been through on this channel. And I please encourage you to like go watch all my other videos about different things that I have on this channel. And I've talked to like people that have been in prison in America. And the thing is that prison is prison. So when you put a person behind, whether it's a fence or locked into a facility, whether it's in an alligator Alcatraz or whatever, that's still a prison. And so I don't feel like I'm not down with the unequal treatment of people that are put in these conditions, especially when they're human beings, man. And you could have voted for this or whatever. You could have no care for how people are treated, but I do. I don't like the fact that anyone could take a human being, put them in a cage, and if they don't deserve it, they haven't done nothing wrong. And if they, you know what I'm saying, these people have not committed a crime, but because there's an actual place where they put American citizens when they're sorting it out and they're in a prison. I've heard of conditions where they have a stopped up toilet for a week. They don't even fix the toilet and they're just smelling shit all day. And people have to go to the bathroom there, all types of stuff. But we can sit up here and say, I voted for that. And we don't have no connection to human beings on this earth. And I'm not down with that. And you can sit up here on this panel and say that you voted for people to be treated like this. I question a person's mentality or mental state that would say they would vote for human beings to be put into a situation like that did not immediately commit a crime to be put into that position. Just because I came across the border running from my government or my situation I was in because it was a dire straits, right? Imagine why would a person walk for miles all the way up from South America to Mexico to come over to cross the border because the situation in their country is deplorable. And so they come over here.
Fight.
Okay, they come over here. And then okay, we say, okay, it's time, you can't be here no more. And then ICE picks them up, right? And we put them in a terrible place. And we ship them off willy-nilly, who knows where, probably not even the country they're even from. But they have to live in these terrible conditions. People have died. Like, I think over I don't even know, 40 people have died in these conditions, in these jails. People have killed themselves, all types of stuff. But we say this is what you voted for, and this is cool. We like this. That's sick. That's a sick mentality. Anyway, let's continue on with this Joe Rogan.
You said a whole lot.
They should stop assaulting random people in this country and breaking up families and destroying people's lives and deporting people who've been here since they were kids and deporting American citizens. Like, the list of fucking horrible things they did. There's a reason why there's a backlash. Don't do the fucked up shit. There won't be a backlash. Capiche?
Local police too, though. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Local police.
Why won't they
always
fight
been
the
there. The police are there for a
cartels?
reason. If you call the police, if someone's breaking into your house, you're assuming the police are going to come. You don't call ICE because you don't self-report. You don't say, "Oh, I'm having an issue with some immigrants." We call ICE. No, they're a new factor in the community, and they're wearing masks. That's a big difference. It's not the same comparison. Like, most people, except the kooky people that went nutty during 2020 after the George Floyd riots, that were like, defund the police. Like, and boy, did they change their tune as soon as they started getting riots and their buildings burned down. They're like, where's the police? Well, you fucking defunded them, stupid.
Police budgets have fucking gone up. That's point number one. Number two, notice how it always comes back to the left sucks. This is the Joe Rogan experience. I got nuanced takes on ICE thugs assaulting grandmas and shooting 37-year-old women in the face, bro. But when it comes to fucking BLM, these crazy motherfuckers, these guys are fucking idiots. They're insane. They're stupid. They're dumb. They're ridiculous. They're horrible. Seething, scathing, brutal, straight to the point rhetoric about how they're horrible when it comes to the left. When it comes to shit happening on the right, well, bro, I don't know. It's kind of complicated. It's kind of nuanced, bro. I'll give you my take on that.
People believe that crime is awful and you can't have murderers and armed robbers roaming the street. You should arrest them. And you're going to need police officers to do that. But those same people that believe that might also believe that once someone is here, they should be able to stay in this country, and ICE is operating illegally, and we shouldn't have militarized groups of people roaming the streets, just showing up with masks on, snatching people up, some of them U.S. citizens, and shipping them to countries they didn't even come from. So that's why they have to wear a mask.
So Rogan is literally defending them wearing masks. This guy's brain is so cooked, bro. This guy's brain is so cooked. One too many fucking alpha brain pills. One too many fucking steroid injections. Is it steroids? What do they call it now? There's like a PC term for it that they use. Testosterone replacement therapy. Is that what it is? I think that's what it is.
TRT.
Whatever the fuck he's doing. It happened one too many times, and now his brain is fucking oatmeal.
100,000 people over a year, which is a lot of people. If that's the real number, you know, their life's going to be at stake. Yep. You're not going to be able to get people to do the job unless you allow them to be anonymous. And then again,
this is insane. No, if ICE was only actually going after violent criminals, they would have no problem. There wouldn't be a single anti-ICE protester in the country. Even people who are support in principle open borders, they would go, yeah, I get it. If you're just going after people who are violent criminals, like, I understand. I might not agree with it, but I understand, right? And that's the thing, is that the reason there's such a backlash is because what they're doing is criminal and objectionable. But Joe Rogan is incapable of thinking, what if this was my neighborhood? What if this was my neighbors? What if this was my family? What if this was on my block? What if I pulled out of my driveway and saw a fucking young woman getting her ass beat as she was trying to drive to the doctor? Right? What if I saw the murder? What if it was somebody in my family? He hasn't thought about this. He lives in a rich neighborhood, and ICE is not patrolling the rich neighborhoods. So he feels like it's.
And
where are your Democratic leaders? Why aren't they doing anything? Who are your Democratic leaders?
Well, I'm saying, well, here's the thing: there are people that are leading. They are in the situation. They're out there and they are fighting. Okay, they're out there with them in Minnesota, like saying, "Okay, the buck stops here." They're trying to stop it from actually spreading throughout America. Because I would not want what's happening in Minnesota to be at my front door. Swear to God, I don't care. You might want that. You might want to see all that bullshit, seething, hatred, and
why
racism.
would I want that?
Because that's what you voted for. You want that.
You have a good governor out there, Governor Abbott, and he's not going to allow that. He's not going to allow that to happen out that way.
Voted for. You want that. You like this. You want it. That's sick to me.
I voted to clean up this mess.
Okay, well,
and for more prosperity for Americans.
Do you think that the mess is being cleaned up or more mess is being created? Because
it's a whole lot of mess out there.
Yeah, all right, but is it being cleaned up or is more mess being created? Because when
it's been a year and it's being.
No, it's not being cleaned up, sir. It's more mess is being created, sir. Because anytime you have people being pulled out of cars mid-drive, damn near. Not even putting the car in park, and then they're just leaving their cars out there because ICE is pulling them out their cars. Dog probably still in the car. People walking down the street. ICE is stopping them. Got their dog. They take them in and kidnap them. The dog is running loose. So now you have a city that at one point was a quiet place. People were chilling. Next thing you know, all this is going down. And people were able to walk their dogs. Now ICE is there, and now everything is in disarray. You have a quiet town, whatever's going on. Kids are playing. Next thing you know, ICE comes into town. They get to coming into the schools. They're going into the schools, grabbing up kids. This, that, the other. You're saying that this is what you want, right? And that can happen not just in Minnesota.
Wrong. I didn't say I want that. You keep saying right.
That's what you voted for.
Because I voted for a true leader to represent the United States of America.
You voted for ICE to be able.
I voted for Trump.
Neighborhood. Well, this is what Trump is the one that is enacting this whole.
I was never gonna vote for Kamala Harris.
It doesn't matter about Kamala. It matters about how ICE is being given carte blanche to do what they're doing based on the person that you voted for. You're saying, I voted for this. I agree with everything that's happening here. And you're saying that, oh, okay, I wouldn't mind if Minnesota was in my front yard. If
I never said any of that.
That's exactly. Listen, when you say I voted for this, that's what you're saying.
That's not what I meant or ever said.
If listen, you the reason why you're saying that okay, I voted for this is cool, I like it, whatever, is because it's not on your front doorstep. If your daughter was going to school and all of a sudden ICE troopers masked up, ran through that school and was grabbing up illegal kids, whatever you want to call them, or immigrant kids, and running through that school and terrorizing them children like this, and your child had to witness that, how traumatizing would that be? It's not about what you do, it's how you do it. And that's what I have a problem with. It's how it's being done.
over
May
there,
I
telling
answer
you,
that?
that's why they got to cover their face because they're trying to protect them. Like, what is this? What is this?
Allowing them to be anonymous creates a whole host of other problems where you could have people pretend to be them. And how would you know who's who and who's not?
Some people have offered sort of an in-between where they wear badges that have a number or a first name on them, such that when you're arrested, if I think you've abused my rights in arresting me, Steve, and a number 324.
People are going to dox them instantaneously. Their face will be on the internet instantaneously.
There is no doxing of a federal fucking agent. Oh my God. I can't, bro. I can't. It's so stupid. Like demanding anonymity as you fucking, in a savage, barbaric way, maraud through communities and assault innocent people. Not okay. Not okay. The weird expectation that it is okay. The fucking entitlement, fucking absurd. And again, all these people, as we now know, there are no standards. They dropped the training from 6 months to 47 days. They got rid of the sit-up requirement. They got all sorts of criminals and white nationalists and Proud Boys who are joining, and they're joining specifically to harass minorities. The Supreme Court said you can racially profile for this, right? I mean, there's no breaks. There's no breaks in the car. This is full fascism. And what do you get from the Joe Rogan experience? Fake nuance. Where the lefties, the BLM, they're fucking stupid, terrible, wrong. Are you shooting people in the face? I don't think I agree. But I mean, I can kind of see both sides. Homie is so washed. Just go away. I'm done with him.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and
shouts out to the channel. I appreciate Secular Talk for his opinion on this thing because I agree with him and what he's saying. I really do because I think it's wrong. Now I want to get a little bit into this Don Lemon situation before I go. With the whole situation where it goes into him being accused of going into a church and this, that, the other. So, but before I go into it, I'm gonna let the man in the high castle say his last thing about that previous video, about that one and that thing over. Just go ahead.
Well, first and foremost, thank you, DJ Genesis, tonight for continuing your effort to get the message across and also allowing the man in the high castle to get the message across to proud Americans who love this country. Yes, I do think when it comes down to Secular Talk, the podcast, he is very biased, just like many in the legacy media. They keep on wanting to talk only about illegal immigrants being black or brown when illegal immigrants are illegal immigrants. They're not showing the other demographics such as the Europeans and the Asians. They're doing this identity politics all day long, and it's not working. American public is so much wiser and knows how to discern and differentiate fake media to true, independent, respectable, no spin media. And right now, as you see, YouTube is doing a lot of glitching. YouTube is fighting hard and caping for these fake left-wing radical media sites popping up all the time. His show won't be on air too much longer, just like Don Lemon. Get ready. The red wave is coming.
All right, so let's get into the Don Lemon situation and that story because I think this is an interesting story. So apparently he got he had I'm not sure exactly what happened, but I'm gonna get the information and we're gonna judge it based on that. So what he's accused of is leading a bunch of people into a church, and that church was supposedly ran by a person that he thought was one of the people that were running ICE in the Minnesota area. And to find out, apparently it wasn't. So let's find out what happens in this situation. So.
Donald Trump will do whatever it takes to keep the truth from coming out. And that is exactly what he proved this morning as the DOJ is now moving to charge Don Lemon for exercising his First Amendment rights. Now, we covered this last night, that Don Lemon was at a church in Minneapolis where the preacher works as a field director for ICE. And so his church was flooded with protesters on Sunday, and Don Lemon was simply there covering it. And now the DOJ is moving to charge him, and it is instantly backfiring as independent media fights back. We're going to get into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button, because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, the DOJ is trying to make wild allegations that Don Lemon was in charge of a protest, shutting down a church, that he was the mastermind behind all of it. So I want to start with the context of what actually happened at this church, a clip from those covering it, not just Don, but other reporters, because it's important legally to protect him in this instance.
David Easterwood is a pastor here. He is also the director of the field office for ICE in St. Paul. So someone who claims to worship God, teaching people in this church about God, is out there overseeing ICE agents. Think about what we've experienced. The murder of Renee Good at the hands of ICE. A Venezuelan national shot by ICE. A 6-month-old baby who almost died as a result of ICE unleashing military-grade weapons on our community. How dare you claim to be a pastor of
Same
God,
old tether babble.
and you are involved in evil in our community?
Reporters doing their jobs and protesters calling out a pastor who is not living the truth that he lies through his teeth about every single day. We talked about this last night. The cosplay Christians are a plague on our society. These people who use God as a buffer between them and accountability, who say that they work in Jesus's name. It's always these people with Bible verses in their bios who are saying the worst things. But do you know what they never say? They never say a single quote from Christ himself. They don't say that you should take in a foreigner as your neighbor. They don't say that you should give away your riches, and that the wealthy do not make it into heaven because they hoard. No, they never say that. Or they just use this as a crutch, as an excuse to do whatever they want. And that is what Don Lemon was simply asking this pastor about. This clip shows it all.
This is unacceptable. It's shameful. It's shameful to interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship. So,
Pay attention how Don Lemon pushes up on.
I have to take care of my flock.
Okay, but listen, we live in there's a constitution in the First Amendment to freedom of speech and freedom to assemble and protest.
Yeah. We're here to worship. We're here to worship Jesus, because that's the hope of these cities. That's the hope of the world, is Jesus Christ.
I want to be very respectful. Please don't push me, though.
We're here to worship Jesus. Yes. That's why we're here. Yeah. Okay, that's why we're here. That's what we're about.
Imagine how Don Lemon's breath smells too.
We're about spreading the love of Jesus.
But did you try to talk to them as a
no
Christian?
one is willing to talk.
Okay.
I have to take care of my church and my family, so I asked that you actually would also leave this building.
You don't want us to
unless you're here to worship. Unless you're here to worship.
I'm always worship. I'm a Christian.
We're here to worship. We're here to worship. Okay.
Thank you very much.
You know how MAGA always falls back on the just asking questions mantra when they want to get away with doing something bigoted or racist or homophobic, whatever it might be, or suggesting some wild conspiracy? Don was quite literally just asking questions. He was covering the protest. He was asking the pastor very respectfully what he thought of what was happening in his church. He didn't start some riot. Everyone has the right to free expression. It is insane that anyone would take away anything besides the fact that Don was being respectful in doing journalism on the ground in Minneapolis. And now the DOJ, trying to scare us all, is moving to shut him down. Trump DOJ goon hypes up bonkers Don Lemon probe. MAGA has decided Don Lemon is no longer a journalist, but a criminal suspect The former CNN anchor found himself in the crosshairs of GOP officials this week after covering a Minneapolis Sunday church protest tied to outrage over immigration enforcement. Lemon was live streaming as protesters entered a city's church service in Minneapolis to confront a pastor they accused of working with immigration and customs enforcement. The city has become a flashpoint following the fatal murder of 37-year-old Renee Good by an ICE agent earlier this month, fueling a wave of protests and increased ICE presence. Lemon's on-the-ground reporting has been framed by Trump's Justice Department lackeys as a potential federal crime, prompting threats of jail time and an escalating investigation. Assistant Attorney General Hamid Dillon zeroed in on Lemon, accusing him on Twitter of participating in, not merely covering the protest. The First Amendment doesn't protect your pseudo-journalism of disrupting a prayer service, she wrote, ending with a blunt warning, "You are on notice." Dillon doubled down late Sunday, announcing that her office was coordinating with Attorney General Pam Bondi to investigate whether the protest violated the federal FACE Act, which prohibits interference with religious worship. Continuing her rant, she accused demonstrators of desecrating a house of worship and tagged Bondi directly. Lemon responded in a video posted Sunday night, flatly denying involvement in organizing the protest. "I have no affiliations with that organization," he said, insisting he did not have prior knowledge of the protesters' plan to enter the church. He described his actions as chronicling events, an act of journalism, and said his reporting was protected by the First Amendment. The explanation did little to slow Dillon's momentum. Appearing on Newsmax the following morning, she escalated the rhetoric, claiming that 2 federal prosecutors from her office were already en route to Minneapolis and that an FBI team had been assembled. She described the church incident as a heinous act, receiving the highest level of attention from the Justice Department. Dillon later suggested that the potential legal exposure could go well beyond misdemeanor charges under the FACE Act. In an appearance on the MAGA mouthpiece Benny Johnson show, she floated the possibility of felony prosecution under the Ku Klux Klan Act, arguing that the law could apply if authorities determined there was a conspiracy to intimidate worshipers or violate civil rights. Journalism is not a badge or a shield, Dillon said, dismissing Lemon's claims of press protection. She mocked his career trajectory, adding, "He was a journalist. I don't know what he is now," and argued that video footage showed Lemon was embedded with protesters and clearly knew what was going to happen. The Daily Beast has reached out to the Department of Justice, the White House, and Lemon for comment. Attorney General Pam Bondi echoed the hardline warning on Twitter that attacks against law enforcement and the intimidation of Christians are being met with the full force of federal law. The White House also weighed in with Carolyn Levitt, condemning what she called the harassment of Christians in their sacred place of worship and insisting President Trump will not tolerate such actions. Even outside political circles, Lemon has come under fire. Nikki Minaj, as increasingly aligned herself with MAGA rhetoric, joined the pile-on, blasting Lemon on Twitter, demanding he be jailed. Let me make one thing very clear. The only harassment of Christians that is happening because of ICE is not protests in response to ICE. It is ICE agents going into churches and ripping people, children, families out of services. It has been condemned by the Pope that immigration officials are going in, thugs, we're not going to call them officials, these thugs are going into places of worship to rip people from their families. Rip them out of pews mid-prayer. Don Lemon going in with his camera crew, and y'all know I've been on Don Lemon's show a lot of times, so hopefully I'm not biased in saying this.
So here's the question. Are you aware that, okay, just as much as they say that Don Lemon and the people that were protesting went into that church, that also ICE agents will go into a church and also enact their enforcement within the church. So which one is right? Which one is wrong? Is it okay for a ICE troop, the stormtroopers, to go into a church and grab up people that they feel are illegal? And that's okay. But it's not okay for protesters to go into a church that they feel is being run by a person that is heading up the whole ICE and immigration thing. Now, I heard, based on what someone had told me, is that they might have had the wrong church. I don't know if that's I gotta do some research. Not like when I did this, I didn't get all the information together to know if that's true or not. But I'm saying if ICE is going in into a church, ripping out people in mid-service, is that okay? Versus if people go into a church and disrupt it to protest.
They're great guys. They do good journalism. They want to be on the ground. Don Lemon was staying up till like 5 a.m. on New Year's Eve because he wanted to talk to people in New Orleans. That is what he does. He goes on the street. He goes to Congress. Like, Don is just everywhere, shooting live and talking to people. He is simply just talking to people. But Donald Trump, Pam Bondi, and Carolyn Levitt want to scare us. They want to scare independent media, especially because they know that we do not have the legal protections, all the lawyers, all the money behind us that the corporate media does. And the corporate media is already controlled by corporate interests. And so they think that they can intimidate us with lawsuits, of threats of jail time, and that'll just shut us up. But that is not the case. That is not what's going to happen. But it is just so clear how just like ridiculous these people's lies are, that Christians are being persecuted by Don Lemon. He finished the clip by saying, well, I'm a Christian. That's why I want to know. I go to Sunday service. I want to know. In what way was he simply asking questions of a pastor who works for ICE? Right? So I don't know what he's doing to protect his flock, protect his community when you're working for ICE. The man was asking questions. He was reporting. Don didn't organize this. Even if he had organized what? A protest? No one was hurt. It's not like they killed a woman in her car, because that's what ICE does. It's not what Don Lemon does. This is absurd. And it is clear.
All right, let me just play this, because I think that people don't think this doesn't happen on the other side. I want to be fair. Like, we can show both sides. Let's go.
Administration's crackdown on illegal immigration continues. Certain cases are raising concerns. The White House maintains that the priority is targeting violent criminals. However, some who are here seeking asylum due to religious reasons are also being detained. The latest case involves Maryland pastor Daniel Fuentes Espinal from Honduras. While he's accused of overstaying his visa by 25 years, many in Easton call him a law-abiding member of the community who deserves fair treatment and the opportunity to remain free. News footage shows residents and supporters taking to the streets to protest the arrest of the 54-year-old pastor. ICE agents detained Fuentes Espinal, pastor at Jesus Te Llama Iglesia del Nazareno Church, July 21st. On his way to work at a construction site. The pastor has reportedly lived in the U.S. since 2001 on a 6-month visa. After his arrest, he was transferred from Baltimore to an immigration facility in Louisiana. Family friend Lynn Foxwell says Fuentes Espinal told him about conditions he had to endure at the Baltimore facility.
He didn't have a bed to sleep on. He didn't have a shower, didn't have a sink for brushing his teeth. Charlie, he literally had to use a bucket, and I don't mean to be graphic for your viewers, but he had to use a bucket for bodily functions.
Pastor Fuentes Espinal's church members are no longer meeting out of fear the same will happen to them. Pastor Samuel Rodriguez, president of the National Hispanic Christian Leadership Conference, says ICE arrests are severely impacting churches within his network.
35-40% drop in Sunday attendance. Put this in perspective, close to half of the Latino evangelical church, 40% aiming towards 50. This is serious.
Pastor Gabriel Salguero, founder of the National Latino Evangelical Coalition.
It's really heartbreaking. I receive, without hyperbole, dozens of texts a day from the pastors in our coalition. Daily, I'm receiving texts either from bishops or pastors of members of their churches or pastors in their networks that are being detained and deported.
Pain also felt among Iranian Christians seeking asylum in the U.S. due to religious persecution back home.
He's an asylum seeker.
It doesn't matter, sir. We're just following orders.
Last month, Pastor Ara Tarosian of Cornerstone Church in West L.A. witnessed federal agents detaining Iranian-born members of his congregation.
They came for freedom. And for me, it was shocking to see this scene, that this woman on the floor, and it was just heartbreaking for me as a pastor.
To protest this targeting of asylum seekers and advocate for their release, Tarosian recently went on a hunger strike outside the White House. Since then, another family from his church in ICE custody has been released.
Our church was on the tiers. The mom and dad has ankle monitoring, but at least I'm happy that they are in their home. We rejoice. And also I send this message to different lawmakers, President Trump, ICE and DHS, and many others that really help to this.
Meanwhile, Salguero says of the arrest of Pastor Fuentes Espinal, this is exactly the kind of indiscriminate immigration enforcement that is not in keeping with the vow the administration and its allies made to target violent criminals. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt responding to CBN News' question on the issue.
The administration has always maintained the position that anyone who illegally crosses our nation's borders is subject to deportation. That's just the law of the land, and we must be a nation that enforces our laws. But the priority from ICE, of course, is to deport, detain, arrest, and remove violent illegal aliens and criminals from our country.
Violent and illegal aliens, okay? A pastor of a church is not a violent, as you can see, what they said, he was not a violent person. He's a pastor of a church. So my thing is that on one end, you'll say, oh, okay, it's messed up. They went into this church. The other end, they're arresting people in the church, from the church, in the church, the pastors of the church, all this other stuff. So, like, is it okay to arrest them? But then okay, people go into, oh, you guys are defiling the church, But isn't that defiling the church to remove a pastor from his church because you're trying to enforce something and whatever? That's not cool.
Intimidation. Donald Trump is saying that he is going to jail Don Lemon because he wants the rest of us scared. And that is what they have been doing through this entire administration. And that is why shame on the mainstream media for refusing to act like this is what's happening, to lob softballs at Donald Trump, to refuse to take real stands, to not stand up for your colleagues when he calls them stupid, idiots, criminals, liars. This is the place that we get to if you do not defend the act of doing journalism. And it is happening all over the place. Something that has gone quite unreported is how Donald Trump is also intimidating the Washington Post, as of course Jeff Bezos does nothing. Ari Melber broke it down in a clip that I've played a time or two, but we just need to hear it again. And if you haven't, listen up.
Times reports that it's exceedingly rare to search a reporter's home, and it refers to a 1980 law that bans searching reporters unless they are the suspect committed of, they are the suspect in a criminal probe. Obviously, for example, being a journalist doesn't mean that the authorities can never deal with you if they have something separate from your journalism that you did wrong. Washington Post executive editor says this extraordinary aggressive action is deeply concerning and raises profound questions and concern around the constitutional protections for our work. Some of this was also telegraphed because the administration, in contrast to past administrations in both parties, had recently diluted the rules that protect journalists. So we knew they were already going down this road because there was some level of intent. If this is a valid factual pursuit, if ultimately they overturn and find materials that supports the investigation, everyone will look at that and report that out. But it comes at a time where the administration is going after all kinds of public opponents. It's going after the Federal Reserve Chair. It's using criminal probes to intimidate. And so there are obviously real questions about whether this pursuit, kind of breaking a line we haven't seen yet in the second term, of a mainstream major journalist's home and their property and their materials, whether that itself is an exception that's lawful or part of a larger selective prosecution campaign.
They will do whatever they possibly can to scare us. So we cannot bend or fold. We have to stand stronger. We are going to on this show. If you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this.
Shouts out to his channel. What's his channel called? JD Cocorella. So shouts out to him. Yeah, I think that the freedom of speech and its freedom of the press should be protected. It should not be a situation where a person goes in and is being doing the freedom of the press, that they should be attacked. So let's go into what Don Lemon has to say about the situation. I know you guys hate him, but it's okay.
Nikki Minaj, why not? Everybody else is. Like, what is she doing? Now, Nikki Minaj has trafficked in some conspiracy theories, you guys. I don't know if you remember around COVID, primarily like social media posts and public statements. There was one that was really notable about the claims that she shared during COVID about her cousin's COVID-19 vaccination, alleged swollen testicles. And just that was in 2021, just all kinds of things. So it's Nicki Minaj being Nicki Minaj, except this time Nicki Minaj, she's people scratching their head because this was at a Turning Point USA conference. I think it's called AmFest.
Now let's go into what Nicki Minaj had to say about Don Lemon's going into the churches, because I think this is interesting.
Freedom of speech and freedom to assemble and protest. We're here to worship. We're here to worship Jesus because that's the hope of these cities. That's the hope of the world is Jesus Christ.
I want to be very respectful. Please don't push me though.
We're here to worship Jesus. Yes. That's why we're here.
Decided to respond to Don Lemon about this, and she went off. I'm going to go ahead and read to you guys what Nicki Minaj had to say. So Nicki Minaj says, Don cock-sucking Lemon is disgusting. How dare you? I want that thug in jail. He would never do that to any other religion. Lock him up. Then she proceeds to basically retweet one of her barbs, and she says the following. The barb does. Majesty Elite says, this is the same man that goes home every day to his white husband, yet parades himself as pro-Black, questioning Black people's authenticity and telling others to prove their Blackness while feeling bold enough to speak on Nicki Minaj. This is an alcoholic who is fired from a 17-year career because of long documented patterns of misogyny, hostility, disturbing behavior, multiple women, workplace culture where he engaged in aggressive, abusive, and violent behavior, including incidents where his colleagues said they felt threatened, intimidated, or physically unsafe, and added that he joked at Bill Cosby's victim and asked her why she didn't use teeth. Then the person continues by saying this, and yes, allegations of abuse towards women and men have followed him publicly for years, especially after a bartender said he was harassed by him in 2019. Major anti-Semitism awareness organizations publicly condemned him after he stated that Black and brown Jews don't exist, erasing entire communities and histories in one sentence, something he was called out for immediately. Lock him up. Then Nicki Minaj retweets that person and she says, true or false. So now after that went viral, the DOJ then went onto Twitter and said that they're going to put Don Lemon under investigation. So we're going to go ahead and watch this first clip about the DOJ and Don Lemon.
Former CNN anchor Don Lemon has been warned by the Justice Department over allegations he joined a swarm of anti-ICE protesters who burst into a Minnesota church in the middle of Sunday service and accused a pastor of working with ICE. Lemon, who has been documenting the increasingly violent protests following the shooting of Renee Nicole Good, live-streamed himself alongside demonstrators with the Racial Justice Network storming into the city's church in St. Paul, Minnesota, as they called out resident pastor David Eastwood, whom they accused of moonlighting as the acting field office director for ICE in the North Star State. David Eastwood is listed as an employee with the local field office. However, the Post could not independently confirm whether he was the same person who heads up city's church. Eastwood was not at the Sunday service. Some service disruptors chanted slogans heard at the dozens of other protests that have wreaked havoc around Minneapolis, while others specifically slandered Eastwood for supposedly misrepresenting the ideals of his faith through his support for ICE. Lemon spoke with the congregation's lead pastor, Jonathan Parnell, who said the bombardment was shameful.
I mean, this is unacceptable. It's shameful. It's shameful to interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship.
The Department of Justice is probing the demonstration at the church for potential violation of civil rights laws, specifically for interfering with Christian worshipers, according to a post on X. Harmeet Dillon, the Justice Department's Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, chided Lemon on social media. A house of worship is not a public forum for your protests. It is a space protected from exactly such acts by federal, criminal, and civil laws. Nor does the First Amendment protect your pseudo-journalism of disrupting a prayer service. You are on notice, she wrote. In a follow-up post, she noted that the FBI has been activated and accused the protesters of desecrating a house of worship. Lemon has dismissed calls for him to be prosecuted for joining in with the group and defended his actions as protected under the First Amendment. The MAGA administration and the fake news MAGAs are losing their mind over something that's not even true, Lemon said, claiming he had no affiliations with the organization, defending his actions as, quote, an act of journalism.
All right, so you guys just saw that video of what the DOJ is saying. So now the woman who led the protest, she's been identified as Nakima Armstrong. And I guess what you can call an interview. She kind of went off, accused the newscasters of gaslighting. But the interview is very interesting, so we're going to go ahead and watch this interview with News Nation right now.
Start this Martin Luther King Day monitoring the tense situation in Minneapolis, where some 1,500 troops could soon be deployed amid ongoing unrest. This as several hotels across the Twin Cities, including some housing federal officers.
Hit the like button, fellas, ladies.
Those threats coming following a weekend of escalating tensions between protesters, law enforcement, and agitators who have descended on the city to capitalize on the unrest and create social media content. One far-right influencer holding an anti-immigration rally, leading to a chaotic confrontation on the streets of. We do start this Martin Luther King Day monitoring the tense situation in Minneapolis, where some 1,500 troops could soon be deployed amid ongoing unrest. This as several hotels across the Twin Cities, including some housing federal officers, are closing down due to bomb threats. Those threats coming following a weekend of escalating tensions between protesters.
Safe. We are safe. Violent crime is down. Shootings are down. Carjackings are down in virtually every category, in virtually every neighborhood in the city. You know what's causing more chaos? Having these thousands of ICE agents and border control and apparently military, even potentially, on our streets.
News Nation has been on the ground since the very beginning of these protests. We continue to be there today. Mills Hayes live.
So he's saying that before ICE and everything arrived there, crime was down, everything was down. But then ICE comes with their enforcement and it creates havoc in the community. So I'm trying to understand why people do not see that that their presence is causing the behavior.
I would like to add on.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much, DJ Genesis, and everybody who is in a live chat tonight enjoying the show or has your own opinion. You can do that by hitting the like button, share and subscribe. The man in the high castle has caught wind to this. And yes, Don Lemon, he was in the wrong. He does not serve God. He doesn't serve Jesus Christ. I want to be for certain. And also, he got led and fed mole information. Know for certain that there are moles in the DSA, which is the Democratic Socialists of America. The far right, the far left activists out that way have been fed with moles, and he was giving details that were misleading. This is why he pursued this MAGA pastor, supposedly named Pastor Easterwood. The moles, I suspect they would be Chinese moles or Russian moles, fed Don Lemon poor information. Also, Don Lemon is in violation of the NSPM-7, which is National Security Presidential Memo 7. And clearly, it is a memo that protects Americans from anti-American activities, and also Don Lemon's in violation of all that. He went to this church with a bunch of rioters to cause violence. I'm pretty sure his breath smelled like old mayonnaise and alcohol. This man is disgusting. He's the same one during the Summer of Love riots out there in Minnesota. He was the one stacking those bricks and pointing out where the bricks were to protesters and rioters. It was Don Lemon. He's a sick man, and he should be locked up. Look at him. Look at him with all his makeup on.
Right. All right. So I want to say this, is that now people want to say that they're FBA.
Don, you old in the face. Look at it.
They want to say they're FBA. Now, Don is an FBA. He's not
FBA. He's queer.
No, he's an FBA.
He is queer.
It doesn't matter. He's a foundational black.
No, he's queer. Queer. And he's against creation.
No, it's FBA. So not FBA.
No, he's queer. And you know that. You know his.
So, okay. So here's the thing. People want to tout the FBA moniker, right? They want to say FBA. Now now the man in the high castle wants to point out his sexual orientation. But I thought that FBA was a lineage. Here's where we get weird at, right? People want to say FBA is a lineage, right? Now, in the lineage is going to be queer people. Sorry, but there are gay FBA. The lineage, right? Now, let's hear what Don Lemon have to say about that. He's saying delineation. Now, you said you for delineation, FBA all the way, right? So let's go.
So people have been asking me about responding to Nicki Minaj's unhinged homophobic
As you put me in the back
tweet about me. I usually don't respond to this stuff, but let me just say this. Nicki Minaj.
Well, I put you in the back because when I'm talking, you keep talking over me. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, he's a queer.
Okay.
He's not FBA.
Keep fucking saying words like that. You know
what's wrong with being queer?
You're using words that are disrespectful in a disrespectful manner against a certain community. And you know what you're doing because you know that that's going to cause my channel to like have an issue. And I've done really good this entire live stream. And here you go with this rhetoric. Now, if you want to be able to talk, sir, you said it several times. I get your stance on his sexual orientation, but you're not going to come up on it. You're going to get kicked off. Say that again. You're going to get kicked off. Go ahead.
What is wrong with being queer?
Okay. So like I said. Exactly. What is wrong with being queer? What is wrong with being gay? If FBA is a lineage, right? Now, if you say that you're FBA and FBA is a lineage, Don Lemon is an FBA queer or gay black man. So I did not hear that FBA did not include LGBTQ. I heard it was just a lineage. That means that if you were born and your great-great-grandparents was from America from back in the day, being gay has nothing to do with it. So you trying to use his sexuality against him to make a point has nothing to do with anything. And you've been also posting that BS in my chat and trying to get my video removed, and I don't appreciate that with all your different accounts. You've been doing that the whole time with the rainbow flags and all this other stuff. So I'm going to let him speak for himself. Let's go.
Stop talking about shit for which you know nothing about. This is out of your depth, by the way, and you are a homophobic bigot. You don't care about African Americans, and you're not an African American. From what I know, you are reportedly an undocumented citizen, so you should be deported under Donald Trump's rules. And the other thing is that your family members, you have one family member who is reportedly a sex offender, the other family member, your husband or whatever, a sex offender is your husband, and one of them is reportedly a pedophile. And you have nerve to talk about me and what you think that I do? Nicki Minaj, get a life. Stop being a pick-me. You should have put a pick-me doll on that damn tweet instead of a Chucky doll, because you are nothing but a pick-me. And I choose not to pick you. And so should black people, and so should gay people. Shouldn't buy your music. Clock that.
All right. So listen, that was Don Lemon's response to Nicki Minaj's blast. And here's the thing is that she has a whole million people wanted to deport her based on the comments she said on the TPUSA channel thing. Black people coming together and gay people coming together trying to get her deported. So I don't understand why she would be jumping into something when she's on thin ice herself. You know. So I just wanted to say, like, thank you guys for coming to the chat. Thank you guys for being here. I'm going to allow, listen, Man in High Castle, if you can control yourself and not say nothing stupid, I will allow you to make final thoughts. But if you use the queer word, you're gonna get banned. So just be ready. If you can't control your ability to say the right thing and the wrong thing at the same time, and I really don't even have to give you this chance, but I know that there's people here that are into your rhetoric, so that's why I even allow it. You know what I'm saying? But there's certain things you can't say on my channel, and if you say it, you're gonna get banned. And then I don't want to hear later, oh, I'm banned. Well, I told you, I warned you. Don't keep saying certain stuff on my channel because I don't want my thing to get taken down. Go ahead.
Is this the wrap up, DJ Genesis?
Final thoughts. And don't say stupid shit because I will ban you.
First and foremost, I am holding the air, and I'm the man in the high castle right now, and I'm speaking for Americans who are proud. And tonight's channel, for the most part, was a halfway decent topic. The man in the high castle speaks on behalf of proud Americans in the United States. I spoke about Don Lemon and his sexual misorientation. This is true. He puts his sexual misorientation over God, and he disrespected a temple of God. He wouldn't go there to the synagogue. He wouldn't go there to the mosque doing any of that stuff. This is true. It's time, Americans who are proud to be Christians and followers of Jesus Christ, to no longer tolerate this. Understand this. Don Lemon has used us as a soft target, so others of his confused demographic and his perversion can go forward into our temples, in our sanctuaries, and humiliate us and frighten our children. We must push back all the way by keep voting for Trump. Thank you, Tom Holman, Bordazar, and all our men and women in uniform who are brave, and those in ICE doing God's work. This is what we're speaking on. See how during MLK Day, they used the opportunity, these perverts, to conflate Martin Luther King's dream with theirs. This is what they keep doing. This is how come they keep on using black and brown and people of color and then LGBTQ to make some type of comparisons. This is how come they keep on saying slave catcher. This is how come they keep on saying Gestapo and disrespecting the men and women who lost their lives and fought in World War II. There are no crematories here. Throwing illegal immigrants in the crematory or gas chambers. Also, if you want to invest in Alligator Alcatraz, it's ticker symbol GEO, as in Geo. out there in Florida. As the stock market is down, this is a great time to buy. The man in the high castle, he keeps in his portfolio around these times VXX for VIX. It's an ETN that tracks the following of the S&P 500. When the S&P 500 is down, the VXX, which is VIX, the fear index, rises and increases in price. I want to give that a tip to Americans who are proud, and I wouldn't give you false information. There are people who will come up on this platform or in the live chat, and they will sample the man in the high castle's information. That's good and everything, but know for certain the man in the high castle's right information. Be safe, proud Americans. God bless.
All right. I want to thank everybody for being here. And my final word is this. I get it. People voted for this. They wanted it to happen. They are enjoying seeing things happening to human beings. And I get it. Some people say, well, this is karma. We had to go through it. And so now it's their turn. People are, getting into the aspect of the church. It shouldn't be defiled. But sometimes people's actual houses are their churches, you know what I'm saying? And those things shouldn't be defiled either by ICE agents just barricading through without a judicial warrant. There's a lot of things going on in this whole situation that is unfair. This is not just about Don Lemon and his civil rights and his freedom of speech rights. It's not about Nicki Minaj and her freedom of speech rights. It's not even about the people that are out there on the streets and their freedom of speech rights. This is about the Constitution and the fact that people are willing to lay down their constitutional rights because of the whole word of immigration and the left and all these different things. You have all these different words that people are like these little buzzwords that if you were sitting there on that street with bang bombs going off and all these different things going off, all these points that we're talking about online when we're not even there to experience it. Right now we can say these things because we're not physically, mentally, emotionally attached to it. Just like when it happened on 9/11, we saw those buildings go down, but we could probably be sad about it. But imagine the people that were actually there experiencing it. And I'm just asking my audience to have some compassion. I get it. Illegal is illegal. But at what point do you agree that this is not just illegal immigration that's happening here? This is a war on American soil. This is now about people. They are probably looking forward to the night when they could just throw gas bombs at protesters. They're not even probably even looking for immigrants at that point at night when they're just fighting against protesters. Now, what's happening is that they do their enforcement in the day, and at night, that's when all the fighting and all the bombing and all that stuff, and they really get to pop it off all night long until the morning light. And I don't know how much of this is just political theater, but this is not right. I don't like how it's happening. Minnesota is an American city. There are people that are Americans that live there. Everybody living in Minnesota is not an illegal immigrant. People are protesting the fact that this is happening in their neighborhood. They have the right to protest that. They have the right to not be happy with the fact that I'm living next to my neighbor and I grew up with them and I've seen them grow up. And ICE agent, I'm fast asleep at my home, and I'm hearing booming and slamming and all this stuff next door, and people are crying and screaming. And now my family's traumatized right along with the next one next door. Is this the way to go? Now, it might not be Gestapo. It might not be the slave catchers. This is a whole new word that's happening here. I don't know what to call it. we'll just call it ICE. You know what I'm saying? We just call it ICE. This is going to be a new thing. This is a historical thing that's happening in our country that didn't happen before. There were some things similar with the civil rights movement, with the police and everything like this, but were the pipe bombs busting through churches, all this other stuff, and now we're having a repeat of it for the immigrants now that America let over here. So they let them over here, and now we as American citizens have to live through them having to retract their steps and violently take people up out of their homes because of the decisions that the American government made that we voted for, Democrats, Republicans, at any point, all of the presidents allowed illegal immigrants in. So now Trump wants to pretend like he's going to be able, in a 2-month period, remove every illegal immigrant out of the country. But why is it just only mainly Minnesota? Why? Because Minnesota is fighting back. Minnesota does not want this in their area. So why continue to press it? Now it's okay. We had this amount of ICE agents. We're going to send more ICE agents. Now we're going to send the military there. What are we really doing? So now the military comes, now they can actually kill people? Or what are we going with here? You send untrained people into a situation that are 47 days trained, and it's pretty much like these are just like test dummies that you are just like throwing your untrained troops into situations to train them so that they can like be able to go into the rest of the United States and enact the same amount of terror that they was able to endure in Minnesota. But my thing is, I feel sorry for the ICE agents because how much can they endure? You're throwing people that are very untrained into a situation that really it should be handled by trained law enforcement, trained people that can actually de-escalate the situation. What's happening here is not de-escalation. It is escalation, instigation. And people are tired of it. And I don't agree. I don't think this is what you voted for. You say you voted for that. I don't think that's exactly what you voted for. Because when it shows up on your doorstep, when you're in this neighborhood and ICE comes stormtrooping down your block and kicking in doors next to your house, and even though you might not be illegal, they might just kick your door in just to make sure. Are we really going to say that I voted for this? Or are we going to use common sense and understand that there's a certain level of civil rights that are being at risk here? Are we willing to give up our civil rights because we want to get rid of immigrants? Illegal or non-illegal, because we feel like, oh, okay, well, once we get rid of all the immigrants, every immigrant in our country, then it's going to open up the door for us. I personally believe that ICE, and I said this before, ICE is being trained to be the new law enforcement. ICE is going to supersede all law enforcement. And right now, it's the whole focus is so-called on immigration, but they are also arresting American citizens. They are grabbing up whoever they can and sorting out the pieces later. And you should see how Minnesota looks. Anytime you can grab an American citizen out of their car, and because they're saying, hey, I'm an American citizen, and you don't want to listen, and they might not even have their car all the way in park. You're just so busy grabbing them out their car that their car rolls down the street and crashes into another. And you leave that car there. Now you're creating blight in the city, and now the city has to pay taxes to clean up this blight that normally was not even there. What did Minnesota look like before ICE showed up? And what does it look like now? Is this what you voted for? You're saying you voted for this? Is that what you voted for a city to like that once was that was picking up the pieces from a whole situation with George Floyd and those riots that finally got it together, a whole place, and now you bring another troop of people in that are going to destroy it even more, and now they have to pay their money and try to fix their whole neighborhood up, their whole city up, all this stuff because you want to test out and train people on the job training in Minnesota, which is what I really believe this is on the job training. They're using Minnesota as a guinea pig testing town to enact and to train their law enforcement in real life situations, so that when they want to actually do this in other cities, they're already trained. So ICE they're saying they only got 47 weeks of training. No, 47 plus however many weeks that they've been in Minnesota. So now they're getting on the job training plus the 47 weeks. That's why they don't need to train them a whole 80 weeks that they would normally do if they were really law enforcement. What they're doing is they're shotgunning them through and then putting them on the street in the middle of a conflict, a real civilian conflict, and who knows how many casualties will suffer from this guinea pig petri dish of a thing that they're just doing as a testing ground. And everybody is not even realizing that they are testing real human beings in a real life situation as a test. And then we say we voted for that. And we think it's about immigration because you're so brainwashed into thinking it's really about, oh, it's about the Democrats. Oh, it's about the far left. They're the ones that's doing this. All these protesters, all you guys doing are feeding into the narrative that you're being fed. You can't be that stupid, to not see the psyop happening in front of your face. Follow the money. $10,000, $50,000 to bonus, $10,000 in upfront to join. Every month they get $10,000 bonus plus whatever bonus for arresting people, whether they are immigrants or not. It's not just about illegal immigrants. They are arresting American citizens. They are arresting just regular people, not only just illegal immigrants. And they probably make more money the more people that they do. Whoever's investing in it, this is a whole. I wouldn't be surprised if there's not even a room where they're betting on how many people that will be arrested this month with ICE, and then there's hedging their bets and making money off this whole situation. There's people that are doing things at a level on top of this whole thing that you have no idea on. They're sitting at the top of the Empire State Building, toasting to this stuff, watching it on TV and laughing and living it up while people are in disarray in the real situation that they're living in. And we are so much sheep and followers that we don't understand what's happening. We think that we made a choice and we are really in control of something that we have no control over. You don't have control over how many troops get sent into Minneapolis. You don't have control over how many ICE people get sent in there. You don't have any control over how many American citizens out of those people, out of the illegals, get arrested. All you know is that, oh, okay, someone tells me that it's fake news when I do see something that shows me anything otherwise. Stop being a sheep, people. Grow up, man. These are human beings, and I get it. We went through it. No one cared for us when we was going through it. We were the ones who opened up the thing to even allow these people in here. I get all those arguments. However, at what point did we lose our humanity? At what point did we join the status quo on how things should be going in this country, where we are actually touting the same talking points as the people that at one point oppressed us? And now we want to be the oppressor. Now we want to feel like we're on top because we're not the ones being targeted. But honey, listen, when one hand is pointing, it's three pointing back. It's only a matter of time. And I'm going to say this. Just because it didn't happen once don't mean it can't happen again. So we can sit up here and we can laugh and we can joke and we can say, oh, yeah, get them illegals out of here. Yeah, I agree, whatever. Until that police force, law enforcement force turns on you, then what? So you can say that you don't think it's going to happen, whatever. What I'm trying to tell you is that the way I see it is that as easy as they can arrest an illegal alien, as easy they can arrest you and say that you look like. They're already arresting Native Americans. And even though I was told that these are not the real Native Americans, well, guess what? They're on the reservation. And because they're not agreeing with ICE and partnering with ICE, they are beginning to arrest the people on the reservation because of a control thing, So, I mean, how could you say that? You could be having your own land and they come into your land and arrest you and your workers or whatever. and say, well, I don't think that these are, I don't think these might be undocumented citizens. And then they sort it out later. They don't ask you right then and there. You prove who you are, and they just say, oh, okay, that's it. No, they take you in. You spend time there. You waste probably a day, 8 hours, probably even 24, sometimes 3. Some people are still in there right now to this day. And the conditions are deplorable, guys. Very, very harsh conditions. People are dying. I think about 40 so far. So I want to give a rest in peace to those people who have passed away based on this situation. I do have empathy for my fellow human being, and those people that are sitting up here, these trolls that are in this chat, probably even bots that are in this chat that are really pushing to allow this to continue to happen and don't have nothing to say otherwise, that it's just like, you know what, I chose this. This is what I wanted. Well, you are sick. Anyone that wants to see people, human suffering, is of a sick mind. I'm sorry. Anyone that can see babies crying and not have any like nothing in their heart, that reaches out for that child whose mom got taken away and now they're abandoned and does not know how that could traumatize that child. And you could just look at this and say, well, this is what I voted for. That is sick to me. So you guys can have all your Democrat versus Republican talking points. I'm not Democrat. I'm not Republican. I think it's all bullshit. You guys can have your stupid talking points. You can have all these, like, you sound like a bunch of cult followers. And I'm not for it. So with that much being said, I will end it on that. Much love to the chat. Much love to the super chat. Even though it was kind of rude, whatever it said. Notice how the man speaks. You know, like I said, the reason why he was speaking fast is because I had it on speed up. He don't normally speak that fast. So yeah, we're not going to do that. And Pamelottoism, you're too late. I'm about to wrap the show up. So good night, guys.
I know it can seem way out, but the creator flows to and through me from way out. I'm talking way out, way out. Yeah. See, if you believe in the God in you, it's a better place. Creating the force and the power to live a better. Know that love and joy and peace is one in all of the same space. That you were chosen just like God. That's right. I'll give myself. Only you can make the change. I'll give my energy. I'll give my shine so bright from darkness to light. From darkness to light. Yeah. And you'll find your way out.